And tonight, some real intense Doctor Who debate that will get you behind the sofa as we go live with the Sensor channel.
Well, hello. Good to see you all. We're live back properly on Sunday night now, so good to see you all, everybody. Imagine Saturday, May the 17th, right? My birthday by some fluke. And Doctor Who presents an episode where the Doctor has to sing for his survival in a galactic song contest. And somehow the footage linked to the actual event that followed is the real Eurovision Song Contest. Would this be great ambition? Would this show your beloved show has reached fame and stardom and soft power? Would it mean that RTD and the vision of the show is in chaos? Will the LGBTQ agenda have been so forced into every part of the show that it's unrecognizable? Or could this be a fab space opera style romp akin to Flash Gordon or Buck Rogers in the 1930s? Our panel of censorites will explore and debate all of that. So get a drink, get your feet up. It's going to be a hell of a ride, and I think I might as well get them both on now. So here we go. First on the cab on the rank, he's reading again. I'm amazed I can interrupt. Are you, Jeremy?
Hello. Here we are again.
Yes, I've noticed you've put ring a ding in. Oh, I know he's triggering us. We'll get to that later. Season 2, I know.
Sorry, I was just reading.
Of course, Talon's a wenchire, and you can't beat that.
Yeah.
And we're a troika tonight, so I'll just get our other mate on in Belfast. So here he is. He's Ryan.
Hello.
Hello. You've got a nice friend behind your shoulder there.
Oh, thank you. At least you could actually hear me this time. Last time my sound cut out, so at least that worked this time.
Yeah. And I mean, it may not be you we want to hear. We may want to hear that lovely Dalek behind you.
Unfortunately, he's currently voiceless, but I'm currently working on that. So hopefully, within the next few weeks, he'll have a voice at last.
Oh, he's voiceless. Oh, bless him. So, well, I don't know. I'm normally on my detox. I say, what's your up and down of the week, or get something off your chest. What's been grabbing your attention, Jeremy, this week in the world of Doctor Who?
Ooh, I think the Eurovision song story. That's going to be interesting.
Is this something we should be talking about?
Can I hear you, Germany? Yeah, nil point.
Yeah, nil point. Wyoming, nil point. Well, you never know. Some people might think that this Eurovision idea that we're going to talk about for episode 6, it looks like, might be some genius plan, and it might go boom, bang, a bang in the ratings.
Or it could be Russell T Davies's Waterloo.
He's saving all his gay kisses for us. Yes. He certainly made his mind up that he's going down the agenda road. Yes. Has Brendan got any more? I'm sure I do. Yes. His LGBTQ agendas on a string. So anyway, there you go. Ryan, what news have you seen in the Doctor Who world that's got you excited or triggered?
Excited? None. Triggered? None. The only thing I've heard the last 2 weeks is, Doctor Who's getting cancelled. It's getting cancelled. That's all I've heard. And this whole Eurovision thing, personally speaking, I couldn't care because I hate musicals. I don't like Eurovision. The only thing that I like is actually a music, like an episode of a musical or something, is once more of a feeling from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I think that's the only. I don't like musicals. I don't like the sound of music. I don't like chitty chitty bang. I don't like anything. I don't like musicals. So.
Ooh.
I take it right. I take it, Ryan. You don't like musicals.
No, I hate them. They're crap.
Oh well, so Rtd's really got you sussed. He's doing the show for you, obviously.
Oh yeah, he loves it. He absolutely loves me.
So when he promised in Doctor Who Monthly only last month, and he said there's songs in season 2. Oh, Ryan, I mean, gosh, this is just music to your ears.
And the thing is, I really could not give. I couldn't care, because simple reason being, it's just going to be more of the. I didn't enjoy season 1. I don't think I'm going to enjoy season 2, because it's just going to be more of the same, because they were filmed back to back. It's not like they've done the first season, they've taken on some of the feedback and then implemented that into season 2. That's not going to happen. So it's just, if it's going to be more of the same, I couldn't care. I'm not invested in the stories. I'm not invested in the characters. It's just, as I've said before, it's not made for me anymore. I don't know who it is made for, but it's certainly not made for me.
And while we do talk about the Eurovision a little bit later, I find it fascinating that we launched last May with a double bill of Dross and on Eurovision night. And obviously somebody out there thought, I know, but this is great because in season 2, we've even got a Eurovision spectacular link up. And you're going, who in their right mind ever linked Eurovision and Doctor Who in the first place? I've never, I mean, I just, very different beasts to me. And you can enjoy your Eurovision, but it's, you know, that doesn't mean it's got anything to do with Doctor Who. it's just, you know, I find it fascinating, all this nonsense. But anyway,
well, they might pick up some extra.
It would only interest me in this if they had the Daleks representing Germany.
Yes. Well, that would be true. well,
they might pick up some extra ratings. You never know from Eurovision.
Yes, and there was gossip. In fact, I did a stream last year about this. You'll see Ryan on the thumbnail, and there have been rumours for quite a while about this. So it is going to be intriguing. But we will discuss that tonight, everybody. Whether you think it's a nil pointer for Wyoming and for Rtd, or whether it's a Whorovision spectacular, or whether it's a Whorovision horror show. Yeah. So just to remind everybody before we get right into it, because obviously I've been away and then I came back and you're wondering where I am. We did the detox on Friday, and obviously a lot of it was discussing parallels with the cancellation of 1985. Check that out. Me and Rachel on Friday night that was the week that was woke, and we did the Doctor Who special. We did a Bigenerates on Wednesday, and we talked about the crisis of confidence in Doctor Who regarding what is it, and Jodie blaming the fans and talking about that. And so please, with all this content, if you haven't subscribed, give us a subscription. If you have subscribed, spread the word, repost, tell your friends. Our Censor Out community might be growing, but we can always do with more help. So thank you for that. And if you want a topic discussed, or want to share an idea, or you want to be a panelist, just write to me on Gmail or DM me on X. Okay, so let's get it all off our chests, just like that Jason Connery did and Nicola Bryant so appreciated it in Vengeance on Varos. We'll just get it off our chests. So, the Eurovision... Oh, I'm dying to talk about this one to you, lad. I'll sate everybody's appetites for a moment. Now, at the moment, as Doctor Who fans at home, some of us have season 7. I don't yet. It's coming tomorrow. Season 7 Blu-ray. Some people have told us they've got it and they're already watching it. Other people have got the Doctor Who magazine. Other people have cancelled and all the rest of it. So, Jeremy, where are you standing on this one? What are you enjoying at the moment regarding Doctor Who out of those two things? Either or both or not?
It's bound to be season 7, I would think. I've seen it quite a few times, but it'd be nice to see it in pristine condition. All the episodes.
Yes, especially it's Ambassadors of Death I'm intrigued by, because that, to me, when I've watched it before, is a lot fuzzier. So I'm dying to see if that's been upscaled.
Yeah, I mean, it's my first season, so it'll take me back about 55 years or so.
Now, Ryan, do any of these catch your eye, or you've already got, or you're already enjoying?
Well, they took the payment for season 7 today, so hopefully it'll be here tomorrow or the next day, I hope. But yeah, no, it's season 7 all day long. I adore that season. I love that season, so I'm looking forward to sitting down, watching it nice, upscaled, whatever it's going to be. Particularly looking forward to watching Inferno again. Inferno for me is just a masterpiece in sci-fi.
Now, what I'm going to say, Ryan, is because before everybody in the thread says it is, there seems to be some weird feedback from your end. If you want, you could check out and come back, and we'll see.
We'll give that a go.
So I'll see you in a moment, Ryan. Okay. So everybody, we are addressing that, and me and Jeremy, I'll continue for a moment. Now, Jeremy, in the
Yes.
Rtd'S been talking away. He's been very busy. He told us actually Alex Kingston's never coming back as River Song. There is no Alex Kingston, I'm afraid. We can just be honest and say that. But no, we've got Ruby Sunday coming back. That's what's important. So is that music to your ears, or was River Song one of your faves?
An interesting character to a point, but I think what's been done has been done now. I don't think that we need River Song back in the show.
Yeah,
I'd rather see a complete new production with new ideas, new producer, the lot.
Well, Ryan's back. Let's see if that frog in the throat's still there.
Is it working?
Well, you're working, yeah.
Yes. Well, okay. Does that sound better?
Yeah, it does.
Pleasing to your ears.
It does. There's always somebody in my classroom thread who tells us. But so, are you lamenting this announcement from RTD that River Song won't come back?
You know what? I think the way it was done, like I said, at the end of the day, River Song is a brainchild of Stephen Moffat. He had done her story. It finished. You don't need to bring her back. Obviously, I wouldn't complain about seeing more Alex Kingston but her story's done. You know what I mean? Yeah. It is done. But I really enjoyed her as a character. For the time that she was there. But yeah, there's no need for her to come back, as you were saying. Doctor Who needs a complete clean slate. I mean, new writers, new production team. It needs a completely brand new set of people and a set of eyes on it, because this is not working.
Absolutely.
And of course, RTD's been very busy with he's like some guru mentor of writers now in theatre. He's like a major influencer. So, every time you see him tweeting saying he's been to some event, and everybody obviously adores him and you're so amazing and all of it. It's that kind of thing. I hope it hasn't gone to his head, but there you go. We will, and by the way, thread, I know there's still a frog in the throat there over in Belfast, but we will just continue.
Scaro Communications, I think.
It's still there.
It's still there. It still does seem something. So I'm not quite sure what it is. Now, Jeremy, you have a friend with you. It's not just K9.
Oh, yes. Do you want me to go and get him?
Yeah, please.
He's on the floor.
He's on the floor. That's not a respectful place to have him, really. It's disgraceful. Because everybody, look at this.
Oh, yes.
Oh, look at that. I'm going to call him D84. That's it. Oh, everybody, does that make anyone feel better tonight? Before we talk about the Eurovision, lovely D84. Oh, bless. I wanted him in the TARDIS. I really did.
I heard a cry. That was
me. Well, obviously, recently we did a review of Robots of Death, and I'm not just in it for that advert. I mean, I really did like D84. I really wanted him as a companion. That's a great mask. How long have you had that?
Oh, it's got to be over 20 years now, I would think. Probably about 30 years, something like that.
Oh, really?
It was a long time ago now.
Wow.
I must have got it from that well-known auction site, I think.
And you can see through the eyes if you had your head behind it.
Oh, yes. I'm not going to put it on because I've got my headphones on, but yes, you can do. It's very claustrophobic, though. It's kind of like respect for all the actors who wear these masks and costumes.
So there you go, everybody. And when I get Jeremy on, I always ask him. I mean, he's got cyber helmets and everything, so that K9 will be in action again. He's got Sea Devils a lot. So thanks for that, Jeremy. And of course, it gives us an excuse for a few moments to mention Robots of Death. I mean, it has to be in the top 10.
Yeah, definitely. It's a brilliant story and very enjoyable.
Oh, well, it's that Art Nouveau. It's just something about. I do like you're trapped on something, and so the doctors, it's the horror fan rock kind of idea,
Yeah.
isn't it?
It's kind of based on and then there were none, isn't it?
Yes.
So, yeah. That's always quite interesting, who's going to get popped off next.
Yes, and of course it's so easy. The red eyes. I mean, he did it with the Ood more recently. Once their eyes were red, they're baddies. And of course, as a kid, gift. And I did love that corpse marker. That corpse marker was a lovely little touch. And I feel as though Silence of the Lambs and other stuff have done it, where there's always the murderer always leaves a kind of mark or a symbol or takes a trophy. I think
there's quite a horrific moment in it where I'm trying to think of his name now, David Collins, where he finds one of the robots' hand covered in blood and gunge and stuff. I thought that was quite.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and of course, Dask. When he looks like a dodgy 70s glam rock, dodgy now criminal person. Yes.
Yes, my brothers.
Yes. Do you want to be in my gang? No. But yes,
the Glitter Band.
great set, and it was a good cast, actually, a good ensemble cast, wasn't it? And lovely. Pamela Salem,
Russell Hunter, David Collins. I can't remember the other names of the other actors, but I think
good ones there, wasn't
one was in Blake 7, wasn't he?
Yeah, and great model effects. This is one thing when we keep talking about, has Disney done season 3? Do we need Disney's money? No, we don't. I was very happy with this kind of, model effects.
And Sandminder, of course, which I saw in the Blackpool Doctor Who exhibition. That was quite good. The whole setup of that.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, I don't. You don't need multi-million budget nonsense.
And the exhibition model even had the corkscrew drill mechanism turning around, and there was a red light underneath it, which made it even more effective. It was very good display.
Now we're trying to get Ryan back on. He's obviously twiddling with a few things, so everybody bear with us on that one. We will get him back. But in the meantime, after Robots of Death, of course, the Doctor Who magazine, which some people have cancelled, some people, me and Jeremy, I think we get it and don't read it now, don't we?
That's right. And I don't understand. Why I don't read it, but I suppose occasionally I sort of look at it. But it's nice. It's nice to have.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to think about whether I'm going to still carry on buying it.
Well, when you see the contents, everybody. So as we build towards discussing the Eurovision, the content was quite way out there this time, and of course, every Doctor Who fan knows whether this is a load of baloney that's been said or whether this is on point. Coming out of the TARDIS to mark 20 years of the UK's LGBT History Month. Is that an event like? Alex Hewitt argues that Doctor Who has always been at its core, now everybody get this one, at its core, a defiantly queer show since its first episode. Now, my skin's in the game, I'm a gay bloke, but I did not see Doctor Who as a defiantly queer show. Did you, Jeremy?
No. It was just entertainment, and the last thing on my mind was whether this was a gay show or not, or whatever.
It disappoints me because this is when when we get told off when we say that season 1's got an agenda and season 1's trying to force an agenda, blah blah blah, and if people are saying we are out of order for doing that, then prove it. Now, when they in the magazine and other people are starting to then say, well, your classic show always had gay in it, always had this, you start to think, right, okay, we're right, you are forcing an agenda because it was not there. I mean, unbelievable. So
I think he actually said that Susan was possibly gay, and I don't understand that because she went off with David in the Daleks' Invasion of Earth.
Yeah, she was in denial. You see, this is it. There's an answer for everything nowadays, which is an answer. But everybody, if you haven't got the Doctor Who monthly, here's the evidence. Okay, so he says fans might pick up on the chemistry between Ace and Cheetah Woman in the 1989 Survival. Yeah, I suppose I've heard that said a lot, so I'll probably give that one. Or the romantic partnership of Professor Amelia Rumford and Vivian Faye in Stones of Blood. Well, nothing happened. I mean, if it was there, it's a sub-agenda that wasn't mentioned or even scripted, was it, Jeremy?
The only thing that was mentioned was, you fancy a sausage sandwich? I think that was the only thing that what's the name mentioned, and that was about it.
Yeah, I mean, this is when you are forcing an agenda. So when people say, you're too triggered, Doctor Who's always been camp, Doctor Who's always been queer, Doctor Who's always been gay. Well, we haven't seen it, and now you're really trying to chew over some of the crumbs.
They're trying to find some evidence that this has always been a gay show, which of course it hasn't. So it's the person who wrote this article is trying to scratch around for any evidence of it, but it's the most weakest evidence as possible.
Yeah, well, it's lame.
Yeah, exactly, lame and weak.
And then it says, take the Doctors and their family ties. In 2025, and this is it. So we went mad or criticised aspects of season 1 and the specials, and we're told, get back in your box, go and touch grass, you've got it all wrong. But then you see that they use it. It's kind of a battering ram. It's a Trojan horse. The Time Lord is as queer as they've ever been. The 2020 specials gave the 13th Doctor a tender romantic connection with her best friend Yasmin. Yeah, but they pulled back, didn't they? And then the 14th Doctor surprised himself by finding Isaac Newton hot, and the 15th Doctor's brief but unapologetically queer romance with Rogue. Now, these were the episodes that triggered me, and I'm just seeing it, and now they're writing it down as this is part of the history. But then the one that you mentioned, and I think that we really do have to talk about, is go back to 1963 and Susan, and it says the first ever episode, an unearthly child presents its catalyst character Susan as other in a way that suggests a subtle queerness. The first Doctor and Susan are a family unit, but not a typical one. And then it goes on about having kids is not inherently heterosexual. Well, if you're talking about producing kids, it is. Having kids, is different, but don't start the agenda. So anyway, Susan. Now, sometimes people have now mentioned Susan might be neurodivergent, or some people have said Susan might be this, that, and the other. Susan was an unearthly child because she was alien, wasn't she, Jeremy?
She was, yes.
I mean,
absolutely, yeah. But I don't think that, as I said, that the writers had any intention of making the character remotely gay. I don't think the writers would actually have thought about that at the time. And even if they did, it probably wouldn't have been allowed anyway.
No, and this should not be allowed, to be honest, to be retrospectively inserted into Doctor Who.
Exactly. I mean, anything pre-1967, there wouldn't have been a hint of any character being gay. I don't reckon. No,
and so I don't know what the thread. I'll bring you in a minute. I'm just going to get us all warmed up. But yeah, Survival, Stones of Blood, the specials. Have you noticed that there's more examples more recently that they're able to kind of say, it's all been agendaed up. Now, it gets worse.
Oh dear.
It's almost like a speech. It says, ultimately, though, perhaps the Doctor's sexuality is in flux. Is it not reasonable to assume that their sexual orientation can change as often as their face or gender? Well, it didn't before. The TARDIS, on the other hand, has been a constant. And I thought, did you see this? I thought, where's it going with this TARDIS idea? And then it mentions that the TARDIS is a safe space. And then, get this, everybody, it then says the TARDIS is a bit like a closet. And you think, oh my God, honestly, this is getting desperate. don't worry. We've got him back. Ryan is back, so I appreciate that, Ryan. I'll twiddle here, but let's go and test you out.
Hello.
He's doing a Patrick Troughton and the War Games at the end of a generation scene, going round and round.
Yeah.
You know what? This is because I'm not used to this current setup, so it's all a bit higgledy-piggledy. Then I tried fixing it by using my laptop, which didn't work because for some reason it wouldn't access the webcam.
Yeah.
So that was fun. That was very stressful. 5 minutes.
Well, what you've missed, Ryan, and I appreciate you doing that, but what you've missed is that Susan in 1963, she was gay.
Who said that?
The magazine.
Alex Hewitt, was it?
Yeah, Alex Hewitt. So that's just where we've got up to, and now the TARDIS can be seen as the Doctor's closet. And every episode, he's coming out of the closet. I'm thinking, no, you only come out of the closet once. Honestly, it is a bit laughable.
Police box is a closet.
Yeah, I know. From its earliest days, Doctor Who has embraced all of us boys, girls, and non-binary viewers. Well, not directly, it hasn't. And although fabulous humans who ever felt othered or lost or alone, just as Susan's alienation is key to an unearthly child, where she, let's have a look, where she and the Doctor are exiles cut off from their planet, blah, blah, blah. This is a show all about resilience, about change, about chosen families made by outsiders for outsiders. No wonder it has such a significant queer following. It champions the queer ethos of living authentically and finding joy in the infinite potential of becoming. I'm sorry, but this is kind of forcing something that I can't see. I can't see that. Now I'm going to bring in the thread in a minute, but I can see Ryan. It's registered with you, this, hasn't it, Ryan? Because it's speaking to you, isn't it?
It's just stupid. She literally stays on Earth with a guy and has children with a guy.
Then she must be bisexual. Then
She must be.
She can have her toast both sides buttered if she wants, but she was definitely getting a bit, and she's definitely had children because that's all explored in the expanded universe. If that's even technically canon anymore, but who knows? It is to me. It's real to me. God damn it.
Well, I think you might have to go and watch every episode again because I don't think you've seen the queer representation that they've seen.
I think I missed a bit whenever she was trying to snog Barbara.
Yeah, well, Barbara did think she was alien. It's just madness. I find it so depressing when stuff like this happens. Now, let's just go into the thread for a minute and see how everybody is. Good to see you, Sean, from Middlesbrough as well. My podcast is pretty great. Just saying, oh, yes. Have a look at it. Review it yourself. Good to see Feared, Punto, newbies. Dalek Lives Matters theirs again. Well, I've seen that photograph of Paul Gascoigne, yes. Garbage is back. Good to see you. Yes, and the message is clear. We don't do that because nobody advertises me. Never happens. Never. Lee, be saying the Master and Davos are gay next. Don't give them ideas, honestly. Paul Mabley, can you imagine a director asking Bill Hartnell to camp it up a bit? Paul Mabley, the Doctor Who magazine mentions William Hartnell, and it's not nice. Just you wait. Stephen Braddock, coming out of the TARDIS. Oh, for God's sake. Rogue was gay. Susan was not. She was an alien. Unearthly, I think, was the word used, wasn't it? Heather, what's wrong with these people pushing for things that are never there? It's totally unnecessary. Heather, back in the box. They're not forcing an agenda. It's just they're telling you what was there and you didn't notice. It's your unconscious bias, Heather. I think you need to go away and have a think. That's sorry, Heather. Sorry. Gareth Rossiter, I have never seen Doctor Who as a gay man or woman. Since when has it been? Gareth, I'll point out more examples. There's loads. And actually, Roris Hussein mentions another one in a minute. So you're going to get a shock, everybody. That's why I said have a strong drink with you, get your feet up, and have nothing to throw at the telly. Because honestly, you are going to be triggered. And I do apologize. I'm just reporting the facts. Don't shoot the messenger. Okay? So here we go. Back to the Doctor Who magazine that was enlightening me. So yes, we had this section with Rory Suzanne, great director, passage to India and getting involved in loads of things. But anyway, here we go. Now, he was talking to Benjamin Cook in an interview in the magazine. Now, I'll go bigger, so in case you've not seen it. I imagine the BBC in 1963 as a very male-dominated environment, full of straight men in tweed jackets and horn-rimmed glasses, smoking pipes and calling each other old boy. Oh gosh, you do stereotypes, Benjamin Cook. Okay. Rory Suzanne, well, that was their armour. It was unspoken, but there was a lot of secret activity under all that tweed. The BBC had a secret coven of gays. It was an almost hysterical, anxious, anxiety-inducing adventure. Do you know what? The Doctor Who magazine's changed, hasn't it?
You see, these people back in 1963, you wouldn't necessarily know that they were gay because it was illegal.
It was illegal.
So gay men had to keep it undercover.
It's just I'm intrigued. You know, when we used to get the Doctor Who Weekly and Doctor Who Monthly when we were kids, and I know the world has changed, but I'm just thinking parents must have trusted that my Doctor Who Weekly and Monthly was hardly going to touch any adult topics. But in this article, he talks about somebody touching his bum. He talks about being approached. And there's a section and you're going, it's not anything to do with Doctor Who. It's Rory Suzanne's life. I grant that. But shall we just focus on the Doctor Who? Or are we going to go down this path? You know, does everything have to be out there? I'm not sure. Where do you stand on that kind of thing? Do you want to know everything about Rory Suzanne, or do you want to know his link with Doctor Who, Ryan?
I want to know. Yeah, I just want to hear him talk about Doctor Who. It's Doctor Who magazine. Talk about Doctor Who and your experiences working on Doctor Who. I don't want to hear about bum grabbing because that's it. Oh yeah, that's a window. Like that's sexual harassment. Why is he not contacting the police and going? I was sexually harassed in the '60s because a lot of other people seem to be doing it. So that's what the BBC's mad for this group and all sorts of. Like,
I actually had my bum grabbed some years ago.
In the BBC?
But by a woman. Funny enough.
Yes, I was attacked when I worked in a hotel, and I was a 16-year-old hottie. I'm bigging it up. No, I was groped and rubbed up and down. Actually, yeah.
I actually did. I actually thought I had imagined it, but then she did it twice. So it was
she saw that I had about 7 or 8 pint glasses empty in that hand, and about the same in this, and I was glass collecting. It was a big boxing do, and she was from the top table. Her husband was the CEO, and she was well gone, and she thought it was very exciting to rub herself right up and down. Yeah, I know it was. So there you go. You've all tuned in for a Doctor Who stream, and we're talking about this. This is what Doctor Who Monthly is like now. Do you want more of this? We could talk about every sexual encounter. Or should we talk about group? So this is what I mean. Can you imagine all your kids in their bedroom reading Doctor Who Monthly and you're going, oh, bless. One day I hope they go out and find somebody, but it's nice that they've got a magazine at the moment. No, they're reading about all this. Anyway, it gets a little bit more on point when Rory Suzanne says this. Now, this is really much more Doctor Who specific. If Russell T Davies has made the Doctor queer, is there reference to it? There should be a curiosity amongst the people that the Doctor meets. There's no point in saying, well, it doesn't matter. It does. Queerness matters. Queerness shapes you. I've grown up with that mentality. I can't get rid of it. So it must shape the Doctor. If he's gay, let's see it. And I've put rogue there. In a way, Rory Suzanne is actually, I think, pushing back on this, which is, don't virtue signal. Don't just give him a label and get into the gay magazines just to get PR. If you're going to do it, do it. I'm not quite sure what that means. Rory Suzanne is saying you must do it. I think he's just making a point. What do you reckon?
I also think, Heather's in the chat's just put up a very good point about should there be an age limit or a warning put on the magazine, that this magazine may contain some adult content, which is a very good point.
Well, she's right, especially when it comes to the tea, because the tea talking about children is something that you have to be careful about, very careful about. Cast reports, let's be honest.
Because there are some adult themes
Yes.
now in this magazine.
Yes.
That's a very good point.
And that's what I want. I mean, thanks, Heather, because that's what got me. When I was a kid getting the Doctor Who weekly and monthly, it was just Doctor Who stuff. And therefore it was not adult. It wasn't talking about relationships even. I didn't. So, but this gets me. Now, I know I put the slide up. What do the thread think? And what do you think, Ryan? Do you think Roris Hussein, our first proper director of Doctor Who, is actually saying, if you're going to do it properly? Which could be a warning that we're not doing it.
Reading that, yeah, it's pretty much, if you're going to go for it, really go for it. That's the way I've read it.
Which means we got Rogue. So we really got it. And to me, on my streaming platform, I got the impression, Jeremy, that most people who follow our channel and many other similar ones did not like seeing that level of gay Doctor.
Well, I never watched it. The only thing I got close to it was that Doctor Who documentary program.
Yes.
Personally, I don't want to see the Doctor kissing anybody. This is I know what he's one of my favorite Doctors, but this is all Paul McGann's fault. The Doctor,
yeah.
Well, the writer's fault, not necessarily Paul McGann's fault.
It's all Paul, I need that in a T-shirt. I love Paul McGann, though. What a lovely fellow. But no, the Doctor is this timeless alien being. He doesn't, like, to reiterate what some classic Doctors said during the 50th anniversary, even though they've changed their opinions recently. What's he doing going around kissing, human girls? He shouldn't be doing that. You know what I mean?
No.
If you really think about it, season, like, we're really talking about even during Eccleston and Tennant's era, the Doctor who, well, even though, he says he's 900 years old at that point, but who really knows? But theoretically, a 900-year-old kissing a 19-year-old, 20-year-old, it's like, well, whenever you really do sit and think about it, it is a little bit creepy and a little bit weird. The Doctor shouldn't be going around kissing anybody.
No. And Paul Richards has mentioned this, and I'm going to get to that. There's another bit, isn't there, Paul Richards, in the magazine that actually does, Roris Hussein actually does push back on Rtd'S version of Doctor Who. Mr. Squinty Mint here, one name. It's a bit like the mistake they made with Jodie. If you're going to have a woman in this role, write it from that perspective. And I agree with that. They missed the opportunity, and therefore it was an absolute waste of space. Divine and Dragon, the hazard to having an unspecified backstory for a character is it leaves open ground for agenda pushers. Yeah, too right, and they've done that. They've done that to death. Now, Simon Anthony, our contrarian, I watched Rogue several times. I tune out the gay bits. Well, welcome to watching 2 minutes of Doctor Who, Simon Anthony. Did you boil an egg? Was it?
The only time I think I'd actually accept the Doctor falling in love or, but yet again, I say this, but the River Song stuff didn't necessarily bother me. So I'm sort of being hypocritical of my own words, I suppose. But realistically, if I really wanted to go like the fan way, it'd be like, no, if the Doctor's going to be with somebody, it would have to be somebody who's his equal, someone who is possibly, doesn't need to be another Time Lord, but another sort of entity, similar sort of, someone who's hundreds of years old, is experienced, someone who can match him on his intellectual level. Ideally, though, if I can think of one companion that probably would have been, which is ironic considering that Tom Baker did marry her, would have been Romana, because she was very much the Doctor's equal in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Well, Paul Richards is just, I'm going to have to set the toxic alert off. The siren's going to have to go off. Sorry. Paul Holgate, it's your fault. There are rumours that Verada Sethu is going to have a lesbian romance with Millie Gibson. I mean, rumours are rumours. We had rumours about the Eurovision, and we'll discuss the Eurovision in a moment, which is now true. Well,
I suppose I have to try and get some way to get the teenage boys to watch again, I suppose. So.
Oh, yeah, they're going down fantasy roads now, aren't they? So basically, I was intrigued by this because Roris Hussein, who was asked by Benjamin Cook to discuss this over the phone because he was in Hollywood, okay, he's discussed it. The thing is, though, it got interesting because they discussed other aspects of Doctor Who. Now, this is the point Paul Richards was talking about, which is not about the gay Doctor. This is about the sexual Doctor. Now, he talked about the Doctor should always have mystery. That's the mystery that fascinated me. An old man with a past. What was his story? What was going on with him? I think that mystery was lost in later episodes. We had a very handsome young men like Matt Smith and David Tennant on the brink of romances with people like Billy Piper. I kept thinking, this isn't what it's about. The Doctor's power lies in his unavailability, his distance. When someone is distant and unavailable, that makes them much more attractive. And you know what? In a couple of sentences, Rhys Hussain, you've made an awful lot of sense. Yeah. As he says, I mean, the Doctor's power is the fact that he's aloof, different.
That's right. Eccentric and different, odd, perhaps, you know. And that's why we like the character. That's why I like the character and love the character over the years. That he wasn't just like anybody. He was different.
Yeah, I mean, we can all think of moments in Doctor Who where the Doctor hasn't got it. Even Patrick Troughton's Doctor, you know, Victoria, could be dressed in whatever. He doesn't notice. He doesn't notice her femininity, really. Tom Baker's Doctor was the same. John Pertwee's. That was the point. We were sci-fi geeks and we wanted an adventure. We didn't want the Doctor going, do you know, my hearts are colliding. And this is all on New Who. And this is where New Who and Classic Who are so different. Yeah, you go for younger, maybe more attractive Doctors, and then you think, oh, could they go with that lass? And then it gets all murky. Rachel here, who obviously normally comes on, I just said, let's have she's working hard and I wanted her to have a nice kind of relax. I always wondered if putting the unneeded romance in was a way to bring in the female audience. That didn't happen in Deadly Assassin, did it, Rachel? And it didn't happen in Talons of Wen Chian, which she's done a stream on tonight, so check that out later, please, everyone. But Rhys Hussain continues, and it gets even tastier. This is now talking about William Hartnell. Now, I have a problem when people have died and when we're talking about history, and we're not talking about last week. I do have a problem with this when people can't defend themselves and the world has changed. But this is what Rhys Hussain says, and I just want to get everybody's opinions on this. William Hartnell. In an interview with The Telegraph last year, Rhys Hussain was asked about the actor's bigotry, his anti-Semitism, his xenophobia, and his homophobia. Apparently, it's well documented. What did he make of it? And he thought, who on earth is this foreigner with a posh accent directing me? Hartnell was homophobic, Rhys told The Telegraph, but I never allowed him to think of me as anything other than a director. All right. Now, just as a starting gambit, Jeremy, I don't like pouring over stuff like this when the person can't actually explain themselves. And actually, when we're talking about 60 years ago.
Well, as I say, it was before 1967 when they legalised homosexuality, I think. Was it 1967? And so, of course, a lot of gay men out there would not have come out and said, you know, I'm gay, by the way. I'm a director, I work for the BBC, and I'm gay. Yeah. It just, you know, nobody needs to know. If you're working, nobody really needs to know what your sexuality is. It's private. But, I mean, there are some people who say, yeah, I want people to know what my sexuality is. Well, if that's okay, fine, it's not a problem. But I don't think it's necessary in the workplace, and certainly a lot of people wouldn't have done it before 1967.
And it brings to mind, Ryan, I went to a Doctor Who convention in Newcastle when they did a 60s panel, and Anneke Wills was on with Peter Purves and William Russell. And there was a question about William Hartnell's attitude. And William Russell defends him, and I did defend him really hard, and was loyal to him, which I always find really endearing. And then Anneke, not so. She was much more critical, but she saw William Hartnell at the later, and he was ill then as well. I get uncomfortable with this because I'm thinking he was the first Doctor. He took a hell of a lot of risk. And when Jodie Whittaker the other day did give an interview and said the pressure on her because she was the first female Doctor, well, as Boris Hussein actually acknowledges, the pressure on William Hartnell to get this right was phenomenal. And where's the fairness and where's the sympathy?
I think both Annika Wills and Michael Craze were on record as saying that they weren't that keen on William Hartnell as an actor, as a person, I suppose, because he had maybe older-fashioned views and values.
Yeah, he was Victorian.
But they were a lot younger, so they were a bit more in tune with the society of the day, which was 1966 going into 1967. So attitudes and fashions and trends were changing.
And it is only fashions and trends, and he's I don't know if you'd call him a Victorian in attitude or Edwardian, but the point is, I just think it's unfair. Ryan, where do you start with stuff like this? This is our first Doctor. I
would put it down simply. It was a very different time, as you clearly stated out. He was working around a lot of people. It was a hell of a lot younger than him. Like, by the time the 60s rolled around, I would imagine Hartnell probably, because a lot of things did change in the 60s, I would imagine Hartnell probably very much maybe felt like a man out of his time. He probably did start to feel like the wee old man complaining about all these young ones and whatnot. But it was a very different time, and we just need to, we can't look at yesterday with today's eyes. We just can't. No. We can't. Simple as that. Like, but this is how we learn. This is how we learn going forward. It's like, okay, we know what that was acceptable then. We know that's not acceptable now, but that doesn't mean we need to basically go back and basically try to pretend it never happened, or try to basically cover it up, or basically just simply like what he's doing right there. Bring it up whenever it necessarily doesn't need to be brought up.
I just don't know why it's necessary, apart from people sometimes, I'm not saying Boris Hussein was doing that, but sometimes people are trying to score easy points. A bit like Stephen Moffat, I felt, with the Twice Upon a Time and that version of the First Doctor, making him sexist. I hated. But he continues, and this I just thought everybody would be interested in this. This is Doctor Who magazine really going for it. Bill didn't use homophobic language, he says, but he was a dyed-in-the-wool Brit. And homophobia was baked into the old-fashioned British mindset. He was an old colonial bod. He would have been sent off to Burma or wherever. To him, when he met me, I was just a little Indian kid, a coloured boy, What do you say to that? What do you say to someone who fought in the Second World War and was proud of being British and flew the flag? I liked him because of that, not for the other stuff. He tested me, I guess, and he found me competent, and then he respected me. But he was scared, I think, and this is when he talks about the pressure on him. And he actually talks about, and he does have some sympathy for William Hartnell never having a father figure. And he goes into how William Hartnell was maybe worried about his upbringing and he found that embarrassing. So that there's a lot of complexity here to our very first Doctor. And so I'm not kicking Boris Hussein because he was asked a question and he's actually given quite a complex answer to the William Hartnell story, which is he had a difficult childhood himself. He was good to work for, but obviously there was some stuff he didn't like. But that's like working for a boss. Sometimes you don't like everything, you don't like everything about them or their attitude, I suppose. But isn't it funny, in all these stories, I don't hear an actual specific sentence listed that he said. What is homophobic? What is this? What is that? I keep thinking, well, where's the examples? I'm just getting told, I know he was homophobic. All right, thank you for that.
I think there was one actor that he was not very happy about, and I think he starred in The Mythmakers.
Yes.
I can't think of his name now at the moment, but there was obviously a bit of tension there. But
And just to give the balance, he later on, as you can see in this article, he then says he often came out with xenophobic comments, yet his actions frequently belied that. All those loudly expressed opinions were contradicted by his behaviour at a personal level. Bill adored Carol Ann Ford and Verity Lambert, and both of them were Jewish. So, and then, like he says, and he had great respect for Boris Hussein, who was Indian. So, I don't know. Sometimes why we're wading into this, But this is now the Doctor Who Monthly. queer history, a bit of a free kick at the first Doctor, makes me feel uncomfortable. Now, just before I leave this, because the lads might be uncomfortable going, gosh, we're talking about Doctor Who, but it's all gay, race, homophobia, this. Yes, all from the magazine. What about this one then? I'm just going to line it up. It's just decided to pause for a second. Roris Hussein said at a panel recently, I mean, I hate the word queer, but there you go. They seem to be obsessed with it nowadays. Were there any queer characters in Roris Hussein's episodes? And he said Marco Polo. Yeah? I think there was a real free-song going on there between Marco Polo and the warlord Tigana. Darren Nesbitt, who was playing Tigana, had a wonderful, really sly way of being sexual with his hair slicked back and all this leather, Maddie, you know. Yes, I do know, says Russell T. Davis, because they're on a panel together. At an LGBT panel, yeah? He and Marco Polo had quite a few wrestling matches and sword fights, and I kept thinking, you know, this could be something. I could go on, lads, but I feel as though I shouldn't be, because this sounds like it's just stuff that should be discussed in a bar.
Yeah. I don't think it's appropriate for the magazine. The magazine needs to be 100% enthusiastic about the show, not to pick over the bones and pick it to pieces like this.
Like, see if this was just a tabloid, okay, but the fact is this is in Doctor Who magazine, and they're very happy to publish something that very much calls the first Doctor of the magazine that you are selling, homophobic, racist, whatever. Not a good look. Well, to be fair, though, over the past few years, they have done everything they possibly can to, well, pardon my language, to shit on Hartnell's legacy. You know, like Stephen Moffat, somebody had said in the comments, he done a hatchet job in Twice Upon a Time. Yep. And the fact now, unfortunately, in canon, William Hartnell is not the first Doctor anymore. So, you know, they have done everything to try and tarnish his legacy as it is. But like, at the end of the day, if it wasn't for him, we probably wouldn't have gotten, you know, the show that we got. You know, it maybe wouldn't have worked without him. But no, I think they have just done everything they possibly can to really destroy his legacy, and this doesn't help. It's just shocking that something like this is in Doctor Who magazine, to be honest. But, you know.
Well, I've defended Roris Hussein because he's phoned up. He's 86 and he's phoned up by Benjamin Cook, right? And but this bit I have more problems with, because this is actually kind of because somebody's wearing leather. That's like the cavemen or something. I mean, this is just like, and I mean, what? Why are we going down some sexual fetish or something? What is this? The story was Marco Polo. There were leathers. There were. I mean, and the way he pushed his hair back was obviously sexual. No, this is silly. It was long hair. I mean, come on. There's the picture down at the bottom with Marco Polo. I chose Mark Eden because he was so good looking. I wanted Marco Polo to be square jawed and handsome, the kind of man I would like to be led across the desert by, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fair enough. He's saying that now as an 86-year-old. That's allowed. But
I'm just going to slick my hair back.
Yeah. The thing is, this kind of does remind me of the criticisms made of RTD sometimes, which is he's bringing what he likes, and maybe it's kind of a bit of a gay fantasy, into Doctor Who sometimes. There's an element of a crossover in some of the talk. I mean, the Rogue thing and them both arguing about how spick and span their spaceship was and all that stuff was just like, why are we just doing this? Shoot him. You know, do something with a laser. You know, I struggled with it big time. Now, here we go. Why does this matter? Why am I so bothered about this? Why am I including the lads in this? Because Pink News just announced that amongst the candidates for nominated in the British LGBT Awards is, of course, our Doctor. And of course, this is when you realise it's all to get PR. It's all virtue signalling. So, of course, and why would Shooty be listed? It's because, I mean, and this is amazing, his groundbreaking role as the first black and openly gay actor to play the lead of Doctor Who. So basically, by breathing, he gets a nomination. And then you go, this is why you're forcing agenda. This is why you're changing all the stories. This is why you're changing Doctor Who. And this is why it's run. It's got nothing to do with storyline, substance. It's all about events and to get discussion going. So I just wanted to put that there because this is why, if you join the dots, this is the problem. Now, Divine and Dragon, thank you, my friend. 25 likes. Say there should be more of that. Hey, we're giving you your money's worth.
Well
like
done.
the stream, give us a subscription. Come on, get your fingers out. You've got your feet up. You've got your strong drink. What the hell's going on here? So now we did mention the Eurovision, the Whorovision. So I can't make you wait any longer, can I, everybody? That would be very, very unfair. So what I will do, though, is say, right, I think this is going to get everybody heated, the Eurovision in Doctor Who. So let's just do a kind of off your chest item.
Oh, my chest.
There we go. So let's get it off our chests. So here we go. Let me just, in case somebody was in a different universe, here we go. So basically, the Mirror mentioned it, then the Mail picked on it, then Cult Box did. So basically, it's all from the one source. And the Mirror tends to be a more reliable source. Doctor Who is to stage a Eurovision in space in show's most expensive ever episode. The intergalactic version of the song contest will coincide with the real thing in May. Yay! And it's going to be massive, according to Juno Dawson. Now, when you heard this, because there's details to come, Jeremy, I mean, I bet you're booking your seat now to watch this.
No. It's like my head's in my hands. I'm like the Ukrainian advisor going like, oh.
I did a saloon once when I sometimes, when you have this kind of strange idea, and I was mentioning the Eurovision about, them, I can't remember if they were Russian old women, and they were plunging, and it was a Polish woman, very sexy, and she was doing some very strange things with her laundry.
Yeah.
And I kept saying, this feels as though it's like Rtd'S version of Doctor Who, and voila.
Yeah, I stopped watching Eurovision in the 80s, I think. Probably just after Bucks Fizz, I think. Probably.
I struggled because I know everybody hates us, so I kind of just voted against it. I'm thinking, well, it's not even proper. But they've decided it's so exciting and it's so camp. And this is our audience, everybody, that we're going to actually really move in on. I mean, Juno Dawson, genius. Absolutely stunning writer. I was wondering what Juno Dawson was going to blooming write about Doctor Who, because I've always said Juno Dawson's written stuff, but I haven't seen anything sci-fi. And of course, it's not sci-fi. Or is it sci-fi to say, I'm putting the Eurovision Song Contest in space, and now it's sci-fi? I suppose you could say it's weak satire.
Yeah, I would say so. It's kind of all kinds of everything, really, isn't it, these days?
And now representing Ratsacortal Valvatorius, this Levine.
Yeah.
I should think the fans will be making their mind up themselves.
That's it.
This actually could be one of those episodes where they basically go, right, what have we got in the back of the BBC prop department, and what can we get? So we might see the Sycorax show up again, maybe a Slovene.
Or in making your mind up with Bucks Fizz, the women, in a very sexual way, which is now sexist, they took their skirts off, and Shooty could take his skirt off.
I just see the funniest comment ever. Deathman's just wrote space gimps.
Oh, I tell you what, I think it's
Don't suggest that, otherwise Russell T Davies will put it in. Might be interesting, you never know.
But this is what I mean. It's blurred up. But actually, yes, dead man, you say that, we're laughing. But look at what Boris Hussein was saying about Marco Polo, and you start to go, do you know what? It's all blurring now. We're trying to find sleaze in Doctor Who, sex in Doctor Who, but what we're not finding in Doctor Who is a space-time adventure. That's what we're not finding.
Exactly.
Mad Mackham, yeah, I'm mad tonight. Eurovision is camp and awful and fun with a lot of drink and a lot more drink. There's not enough alcohol in the world to handle more Gatwa, though. I think, and I'll show you the evidence, I think Gatwa is going to be one of the performers in this intergalactic song contest. He'd be singing for his life. Oh, it'll be so tense. There'll be Daleks in the audience. It might be doing that Rasputin that they had in Power of the Daleks. They might be doing... I can see singing and dancing. I can see the whole blooming lot. And I can see his kilt coming off.
There'll be an explosion in the end. It'll be like boomer bang bang.
Boom, banner, bang. And very lightweight. And I'll show you a bit more evidence first, and then I can see everybody in the threads going to get fired up about this. But here's a bit more detail just to give you. The show has a long tradition of links with the Eurovision. No, it does not.
Hey?
Last year, that's a long tradition. Shooting Gap was the first full season as the Doctor launched on the night. Oh, wow. With 2 episodes, including one with the Beatles. Oh, you're good. The new series launches on April the 12th. Yes, we'll discuss all that later, don't worry. But the series faces an uncertain future after this run. Oh, yes. Brendan did a show called Doctor Who Axton. Oh, people went mad. With fans preparing for a gap of up to 2 years. Well, we know that's going to happen. So, yeah, that's our context. And then Juno Dawson says, the episode to tie in with the action from Switzerland has been written by sci-fi author. I thought more LGBT trans advocate, I think is what activist, Juno Dawson, who said this month, it's the most ridiculous episode they've ever done and the most expensive. So lads, they've spent a bomb on this and it's ridiculous. I say, therefore, it shouldn't have been made and therefore it's a waste of money.
Well, we'll only know that when you actually see it. I won't be seeing it. I'll just be seeing how they actually made it, which will probably be more interesting than the episode itself.
Why are they proud of spending money? All you need is a lighthouse. All you need is a base under siege. All you need is Robots of Death Sand Miner. You do not need to spend a bomb.
It's like a lot of organisations now, the attitude is to spend and keep on spending, and that's why the BBC is in debt, because it doesn't know how to balance the budget anymore with a lot of organisations. But if they've got the money, they will spend it right to the hilt,
and therefore I mean, Ryan, where do you think we're going to go with this? Because I'm going to bring in the thread in a minute, who have got some amazingly funny ideas, like Rusty the Good Dalek hosting this comfort and space.
My issue is, this is Doctor Who. Where's the fucking monsters?
Exactly.
Oh, no. You know what this... I think we can all see where this is going to go. You'll have monsters, but they'll all be in the audience. Or Alpha Centauri, I can guarantee, will be there with all their tentacles singing a nice little ditty. It'll be a soulful number. I think I can see the Ice Rorries in a kind of rock band. I can see the Yetis maybe doing the Wombles. I can see the lot going on. I really can see this having millions of monsters in it. Therefore, it's very expensive, but it's just cheap, camp, insubstantial, has people laughing at the telly going, gosh, Doctor Who's dived.
Well, I hope you enjoy it, because it'll be, the third last episode of Doctor Who, so there we go.
Well, I'll just say this. It should be extremely very good, because they spent a lot of money on it. So if it isn't, there's going to be a bit of a problem.
Yeah, because as we all know, the best Doctor Who stories that's ever been made definitely have the biggest budget. The whole... No, what? See if this was Star Trek and they're boasting about the budget, or Star Wars and they're boasting about the budget. Great, that's great. Doctor Who doesn't need a fucking budget. It literally needs 4 corridors and a room and something and a bunker.
It needs a budget that is sufficient to make it look slick and not cheap. But it doesn't need a budget for having a great big LED screen to simulate a planet. You could have filmed that in a quarry.
This is when it starts to become indulgent, and it's not Doctor Who. It's indulgent. There seems to be nobody asking questions. It's a bit like the NHS has so many managers now, and it's only because it's had an injection of money. And you go, actually, you pare back a lot of those managers, and we just get people on the front line. Might be better. I saw it in education. I go to Australia. I come back. There'd been an injection of Blair's money, and suddenly you go, oh my God, all these senior teachers everywhere. Yeah, exactly. Give them the money, they spend it. That's exactly what you were saying, Jeremy. It doesn't need it. And so I don't care if it's an expensive episode. All that means is the whole budget for the whole blooming season will have been wasted on let's have a laugh at seeing Ice Warriors with a guitar.
There are organisations where they have a budget, and if you're under budget, they say we're under budget by, say, £10,000. Can you think of something that we can spend £10,000 on, so that we don't have our budget shortened for the following year? And that's the insanity of it, because what they should say is, well, I tell you what, we're £10,000 under budget, keep that £10,000 and put it into the big pot for some other department that's overspent, So this is what I mean. If they've got the money, they will spend it.
Exactly. Now, the thread are having fun with this, and I think laughter is all we've got left. Joseph, the Levine family here with the gas exchange waltz. Yeah, I mean, that's very possible. We could have that. How did we go from the Iron Legion to Alien Dance Office and Death Drop, says Stephen Braddock. Good question. Is there an answer out there? Kez the drone. This is Dawson's Peak. Let him revel. Once RTD is gone, he'll have no one to be giving him a leg up after this. Galactic Autocue, says Lee. We've got Charlie's not happy. Charlie's not happy. God, who else we've got? Lee Smith is worrying that peak Juno will nuke Doctor Who and wreck it. As you said, there might only be 3 episodes after this. Or 2, I say. Let's have a look. Duncan Evans, will this be TV adaptation of the Ultimate Adventure stage play?
Well, I mean that was slightly different. It was the stage play.
Oh, John Sweeney, who's obviously a script writer. We all are now. They will probably get the Space Babies on as an entry, singing a song and dancing with top hats and nappies. Oh my God, how low can this go? How low can you go? Hand jive, how low can you go? Grease. Daryl Joyce, good to see you. I do have to contact you. I know. Ooh, just a little bit less. Nice one. I see what you're doing there. Paul Holgate, and the winning entry will be Doctor in Distress. Oh God, can you imagine it? Ian Levine on stage. This could be a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. And I only said it as a stream of consciousness, but I can see the Yeti doing a Space Womble number. I can see the Ice Rories in the background with some kind of glitzy guitars. Do you know, this could go anywhere? And I think Alpha Centauri will be in it doing a kind of little kind of sad romantic number. I can see.
Probably You Need Hands.
Yeah, hands. No, yeah, Alpha Centauri doing the hand jive. Oh God, you've only got laughter left. It really worries me.
There's so much material to talk about this story, and it hasn't even aired yet.
It hasn't, and I do think this one is going to be a problem. I'm sorry, but
It'll either be very, very good, or it'll be an absolute turkey.
I think we know the answer. I think the thread knows the answer. I can just see it now. They're having a scream at this.
Christmas has come early.
As Parasite says, and I hope your father's all right, physical monster costumes look way better than CGI. I know, and they're going to spend so much. You just know. You know, when we saw the Dalek Parliament and, you know, all that CGI and all that expense, and I'm not knocking that. Like I said, the passion and the skill of people is all there. But it's unnecessary, really. And so I can see the Eurovision having this massive kind of, like a parliament, and you'll have all the mint pods and you'll have all these different monsters from Doctor Who, and it'll have cost an absolute fortune. And then you go, but it's just wallpaper. It's not helping the story. The story will be the Doctor has to sing to survive. because my theory, lads, is this, and somebody's kind of half mentioned it. I'll just come back to that. Is Big Brother? We've already done it. It's been done by RTD already, and actually, I think he just about got away with this one. I mean, it was a good, interesting story, but Bad Wolf did it. Chris Eccleston's doctor landed in Big Brother in the future. That kind of added a bit of interest to it and a bit of pop culture. We all remember that one. And then, of course, you had the android from the Weakest Link in the future. And Rose, our companion, was in danger of being, atomized because we saw what happened when you were the Weakest Link. So I can see how it could use popular culture references with an angle to it. I mean, I thought the android was genius. I really did enjoy the android. And the Big Brother thing worked. It wasn't the whole episode. Am I selling this to you, lads, that actually RTD has managed to do this before and make it land?
Yeah, but will he do it this time round?
See, the difference is there. Well, I suppose we haven't seen the new episode yet, but that would be like the equivalent of him coming out and going, we are going to set an entire episode around the Weakest Link. It would be like, what? That's the Weakest Link. That was a fun little part of, Bad Wolf and Parting of the Ways. Bad Wolf, actually, yeah. Anyways, and the same as a Big Brother, it was just a fun little sort of side quest. It wasn't the whole cake, Where if you're making this the whole cake, I don't know. Well, we'll see what happens. I have a funny feeling, though, it's going to be shite.
Yep. Well, I'm trying to be fair because I actually did, because that space station that Chris Eccleston landed on was a space station with all these game shows on, wasn't it? And you were trapped in them. I suppose you could argue there was a satire going on there, and sci-fi can do that well. But as you're saying, Ryan, it wasn't the whole episode. It was just to set up the Jeopardy, wasn't it? And then you had that good bit of mini Jeopardy when our doctor thought that Billy Piper had been killed.
Exactly.
That was good stuff, and there was a good bit of tension because Billy Piper played it well. If she gets the question wrong, she's dead.
It served the story. It wasn't the story,
So RTD, let's be fair, RTD1 managed to land this. And it is a fun episode. And there was Trini and Susanna as well with a naked John Barrowman. Remember that?
Somebody bought that at the auction. I seen somebody post up today. They got the prop.
Of Android?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good head. What, the whole thing?
It's actually from the photograph that he put up. It's in quite good nick.
Whoa, that's impressive. I do like, it's a good joke. You see, that's what I mean. This is when Doctor Who works. I think it was a good joke. Android, I like that. There was Jeopardy in it. It wasn't a light, frothy item because we thought she'd been killed for a moment. And it set it up quite nicely. Whereas I just worry about this one. I don't know if you can do... You should never do the same thing twice, should you? Now... There's a bit more detail about this Eurovision episode. I just wanted to kind of show you. I was thinking carefully here. So here it is. There's one. Now, this is when Russell Davies was talking at the BAFTAs a while back, and he said, there's one story next year where I very specifically said, I want this film crossed with that thing. And that's the best episode ever. Episode 6 next year. Watch episode 6 next year. It's a riot. My God, it's a riot. It's hilarious. And may I just say at the very bottom there is interesting. If that isn't enough to fuel this rumor, Doctor Who producer Joel Collins brought 2 very interesting and unique T-shirts to Galley 1 in February, only a few weeks ago. The first one, Mr. Ringer Ding, we'll talk about him a bit later. His second T-shirt the following day was black with the words 803rd Interstellar Song Contest in white. So Doctor Who is going to be at the 803rd Interstellar Song Contest, which to me is just doing Big Brother 75 or whatever, and and the Weakest Link in the future, and it's just doing the same idea again. Because RTD, as I've said before, hasn't got new ideas. He just knows what worked in his first brain, and he's trying to duplicate it again. But what concerns me in the language is when it's a riot. It's hilarious. I never went into Doctor Who because I wanted it to be a riot. I wanted it to be a hoot. I wanted it to be hilarious. I wanted my Doctor Who to actually not be that funny. I wanted it to be thrilling.
I wanted it to be a science fiction television show, which was very interesting, and there was no other show like it on television. And now it has gone a little bit passé.
Well, I think what's happening, Ryan, now, and my conclusion with the Eurovision 803rd Interstellar Song Contest is it's going to be a TV event, he thinks. He'll get the Radio Times and many TV weeklies maybe showing you some lovely pictures from it. He's hoping his niche now, RTD, is to get the TV people talking about it as it's an event, but it's not a story. It won't be a big moment narratively. It won't be clever. It'll just be what you see. Doctor Who does Eurovision. It'll just be an event. And the snag is, Ryan, once it's been shown, it's lost that talking point. It's done. So then, is it a good story? And unlike Robots of Death and Deadly Assassin and any of the others we will mention forever in our lives, I don't mention Bad Wolf much anymore. It happened. It was a thing at the time. I now, it was more of a TV event and a talking point. It's a bit like the regeneration trick of David Tennant in Stolen Earth.
Yeah.
It was amazing that week. It was mega in the news. But it's not mega to watch again for that reason that you've lost it. Go on, Ryan.
Well, while we're here, a notification has just popped up on my thing that Doctor Who Season 2 trailer has just dropped.
Of course. Yes, I'll be doing a stream about it tomorrow because...
Oh, that's going to be shite.
They like to keep me busy. They love to keep me busy. Apparently I was in Spain. I was doing puppet shots. I mean, it was crazy. But it concerns me. So don't worry, everybody. Tomorrow I'll do an analysis of the trailer and all the rest of it. But for now, I'll just mention this Eurovision froth. And I do think this is when RTD and JNT are almost similar. But JNT did get people to write some stories. Whereas RTD does that kind of show busy kind of, I just want people to talk about Doctor Who. So if it's camp, if it does something risky, that's good. And you're going, no, but Rogue was a non-event of a story. So the Eurovision and Doctor Who, I mean, I can guess the plot device now. I really can. He has to sing for his supper, basically, that sort of thing. And a bit like End of the World, you'll have some creepy mechanical spiders or something like that. But it's not going to be anything of any substance. And anyway, it doesn't matter, Ryan, because after 40 minutes, it'll all be over. It won't have a cliffhanger.
Exactly. The only thing I was going to say is, because I think it is worth bringing up, because it is mentioned in that article about Gallifrey 1, it's sadly, that's going to be it, I think, after 2028, another 3 years. And the biggest Doctor Who con in the world, and they basically can't get the staff, and it's closing down, which is, I think it's been going for what? It's been going for, I think, 30 years. I might be wrong. It's been going for a long, long, long time.
Well, what's going on, Ryan? Because, Galley 1 is ending, and then, of course, the mill finished after 35 years.
Well, it just goes to show that apparently, from what I heard, they basically, because it is that Gallifrey 1, I think it's all volunteers and stuff like that. It's not a profit-making thing. So they mustn't be able just to get the staff or the people to help run it anymore, which is very sad.
Yeah. But this does get me because it's a bit like when you saw all the Hanna-Barbera cartoon characters in the Animal Olympics. It's that kind of that level of just joining, having what do they call it? A mashup. Just do a mashup. That's all. This seems to me, it's an excuse for RTD and Juno Dawson. I mean, do you know what? What a gift. Andrew Smith had to write a good story called Full Circle. Juno Dawson, having never written for Doctor Who before, just goes, do you know what, RTD? I've got an idea. Eurovision in space. There'll be lots of glamour, lots of glitter, lots of trans, lots of this, lots of that. And go for it, darling. I can just see it. And just to keep us old dinosaurs happy, we won't have Sutek in it this time, but we might have, like I said, the Space Womble Yeti or something like that. And everyone goes, did you see the Yeti? Like a little Easter egg. That'll be it.
If you're lucky.
Now, the only thing I'm sort of curious about this next season is I was given a tip off about 18 months ago that the Daleks will not be in season 1, but they will pop up again in season 2 with a new design.
Oh!
Now, I'm interested. Now, a lot of people are speculating in the trailer saying, oh, the spaceships are Dalek saucers. It might be, it might not be, but it will be interesting to see if my tip-off actually becomes true. And are they going to come back in season 2 with a new design? Who knows?
And I hope they're not involved in this, but any monster that's in this Interstellar Song Contest cheapens them, because the Cybermen can't be in it, can they? We can't have the Ice Warriors in it. We can't have the Sontarans in it. I mean, the Sontarans are bad enough now eating chocolate. So if you had the Sontarans there, you know, with their little probic vents, and 1 minute, I don't know. Maybe all the fans scream when they take the helmet off, and it's just like some sort of grunge band. I just think no, because you're going to take all the seriousness away. And I do fear with this LGBT agenda, with this camp agenda, with this froth agenda, what they're forgetting as RTD is it might be for a moment, it might get the headlines, and for a moment it might get some people laughing. The trouble is, he hasn't, since Doctor Who came back with him, he hasn't made Doctor Who serious. He hasn't made Doctor Who consistent. And, I haven't seen a scary story since he came back. I've seen a lot of this dross. I've seen a lot of the froth, a lot of superficial pizzazz, but I haven't seen anything that really grips you. It's as if he doesn't know how to do that, and he can do Midnight.
Oh, he can do stories like Midnight, and it's a shame that he doesn't write stories of that high caliber like Midnight. So I don't know. He's certainly not consistent.
Yeah. So yes, I'm triggered, and I'm sure the trailer will trigger me tomorrow. Garbage. I saw very little walk in the trailer, but there was some. It was actually a really good trailer. Garbage. Tomorrow I will do an analysis. Why not do another show? Just another one. But Dalek Lives Matter says it looks bloody awful. So Brendan will tell you his opinion tomorrow. That's for truth. So let's take a look a bit more at this Eurovision nonsense, because there's more detail to come. Yes, it's on my birthday. Talk about killing me. I mean, it's not a Christmas present to have Doctor Who on my Christmas present. What am I talking about? Timey-wimey. It's not a birthday present to have Doctor Who on my birthday anymore. It's now a disaster zone. Its writer has claimed it's the most expensive episode ever. In the singing special, yes, I didn't say that. It says it there, which is the 5th of the new series, the Doctor and his new companion, Belinda Chandra, become embroiled in an intergalactic version of the contest. Think Eurovision in space. There will be singing and there will be competition. There might even be a cameo of Graham Norton. But go back, everybody. I did a stream on this about 5 months ago. And if you see Rylan on the thumbnail, the gossip is that actually Rylan's in it. And while I remember, folks, I'm going to put it up here. Here we go. From Doctor Who Production News. Someone with a private X account said in May 2024, and I picked up on this at the time, that there will be a space Eurovision Doctor Who Season 2 episode set on a space station. Oh my God, it's Bad Wolf again. Rylan is reportedly playing himself, having been cryogenically frozen and brought back to life to participate. So as you can see, Jeremy, it's Rylan is the new android. This is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah. It's quite desperate, isn't it?
Well, it's been done. And it's only for a laugh. I mean, I do have a sense of humor, and like you, Jeremy, I can
Well,
smile, but that's it.
It's basically the show with its tongue firmly in its cheek.
Yeah.
And that's not how you make the show. It needs to get back to how it used to be produced in the 1970s, 60s and 70s. Give it a more retro feel to it.
Now, Rachel, thank you for sticking around, Rachel. Rylan is in the trailer.
Your actual Rylan's is in the trailer.
Yeah.
No, that's that question answered then.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yep.
I think Rachel, I don't need Rachel to text me. I know she will do a stream on the trailer too. We'll have a battle of the stream. Rachel, let's do an interstellar battle of the streamers. But, oh God. The Impossible Lesbian is a great title. I always wanted to write a book. I'm kicking my telly in as a protest, says Peter, my Doctor Who twin. Peter, I was shouting at the telly when we had Space Babies and Devil's Cord, and now we've got all this. And I'm going to repeat this. I have a sense of humor. I can go to a panto and I can watch some comedy. Rylan is going to be obviously like an android character, a bit like the Davina McCall voice in Bad Wolf. We've had these popular culture touches before. Is it a good story? So far, all it is it's a Eurovision in space and lots of songs, some Murray Gold. It's all the froth around. Where is the core of the story? And Juno Dawson, from what I've seen, doesn't have a track record of writing sci-fi. Okay? So there you go. I just wanted to show you that before I forgot to flash it up there, lads, in case you hadn't seen that. So you've had the write-up now, an intergalactic version of the contest. There will be singing and there will be competition. So as you were saying, Ryan, this is you'll have this on record.
Know what? The only thing that would even tempt me to be even interested would be if the Epic Sax guy makes an appearance. And if you don't know who he is, he's the only thing that ever was good at ever come out of Eurovision. I'm hoping that some people in the comments know who I'm talking about, but that guy was the bomb.
I've got a nasty feeling that because these are all obsessed with the campness of Eurovision, they're going to maybe even find some old German talent. They're going to find that man in the glitzy outfit. They're going to get some of them in. I can see them paying them to be in this Doctor Who episode so that everybody kind of just laughs. And I can just see it. Bucks Fizz might appear. I can just see this. It'll cost a bomb, and yet it doesn't do anything to the story. And it'll really challenge the acting range of Shooty, because he'll have to sing and dance and he'll have to cry a bit. It's going to be really testing. This is a bit like, what's that animation that they do now where they have animals and they sing? Is it called Sing? It just sounds like that.
It feels like a show. It's a show within a show, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got intertextuality, darling. It's gone very meta.
Light-hearted entertainment.
Oh,
it's almost like one of these Saturday shows from the 1970s. Dance with Lulu or something, or Cliff Richard show or whatever.
Well, unlike Lulu and the Cliff Richard show in the early 70s. Sean Cryer, if it's like this, you can imagine this Eurovision thing with a lot of pretty boys running around in thongs and stockings. On the bright side, Shooty will be tease of joy for once. Yes, he'll be running off into every act. Shooty Doctor will be going, hey, maybe this is why he leaves the show, because he wants to become a stage singer. Maybe a talent scout spots the Shooty Doctor and goes, you're wasted saving the universe. Away, come and join our band called,
I think Alex Hewitt might like this story.
Oh, God. I am concerned. And I think this time, after seeing season 1, I think we should be concerned.
It might not be as bad as you think.
Oh, I don't know. You dare say. I'm going to quote you back.
Welcome to the last season of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's on the cards anyway, isn't it?
Yeah,
very much so. Even though a lot of people are currently denying it, yeah, it's very much on the table as it currently stands.
Well, as Tidy Boy, hello to you, and please subscribe. The program is allegedly internationally popular. Does anyone overseas know who Rylan is? This is the other issue, isn't it? That you make popular cultural references like they did in the past with EastEnders and Paul O'Grady and blah 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 blah. All fine. The thing is, though, but then it looks tired and dated, and also on top of that, internationally, since we now need to do it as a global program, people will go, I don't know who that is.
Well, in the old days, if you were doing a show like this, you wouldn't have Ryland being the presenter. You'd have an actor, a professional actor playing it. So you could have someone, I don't know, I can't think of an actor's name at the minute. Not Philip Maddock, but someone.
Yeah.
You know, one of the actors at that time that appeared in every single show of every like Z Cars or whatever. But now they're just going for like these celebrity presenters like Rylan's and what was that other one? That female presenter. I can't think of the name. Sorry?
Red Davina.
Yeah, Davina Bacall, yeah.
And Robinson. Captain, I mean, this is the point. Across the pond, Captain Have Fun. I don't know anything about the Eurovision because I'm in the USA and I have good taste in entertainment. So you could have a Doctor Who fan who goes, this is just too many layers for me to work out. I just don't get the joke. I can see little jokes and digs at Britain. You know, Wyoming nil point is what we hear every year. And I dare say in a bit of dialogue, you'll have Wyoming nil point. So even though there might all be planets, there'll be a little country like Little England, because he has his little far right dig, you know, he'll do it. And it'll be something like that. And it'll be nil point. And everyone will be going, ha, ha, ha. You see, when you're far right, you get no. Yeah, I can see a lot. He'll be political and he'll be cheeky and he'll be OTT and he'll be camp. And then there'll be no story. I can see it now. I really can. But I do think, hey, look at this. Dalek Lives Matters. Alpha Centauri singing It's Raining Men. I mean, I can laugh at an act, and he might make me laugh with the name of an act. You know, I mean, that's allowed, but I want my Doctor Who to be a proper good story. And
well, it's all right having a story like that, right? Make it really camp, make it really outrageous, but then you've got to think about what your other story is going to be: serious, dramatic, you know, interesting, exciting, odd, etc. You know, but
yeah,
I don't know whether this is going to be the main theme for season 2.
John Yulden, good to see you. This sounds terrifying and is going to be behind. Well, yes, that's quite true. I keep saying I want the fear factor back. Well, this brings the fear factor back. Have they just killed stone dead Doctor Who as I recognize it? That's very true. It's not going down very well with our thread. It's not going down well. And neither is the trailer, which I will talk about tomorrow when I've seen it. Sally, hello. Eurovision stopped being a singing contest a long time ago. It's now the Eurovision political song contest with gay undertones. And a lot of countries actually censor it. I mean, I think the Ollie Alexander thing got censored. Too much thrusting going on, which RTD must have loved, but no. Okay, then. So there you go. That's our assessment on the Eurovision element. Now, I thought I'd throw them right in the deep end, our lads here, and the thread, because we're Doctor Who fans after all. And yes, I'm trying not to trigger you to death, but there's Juno. Now, this is interesting. Grok. We got Grok to revitalize and relaunch Doctor Who. And wow, this is fab. There's some great ideas, and I want to get your feedback, and I want to get the feedback off the thread. Right, so here's the premise. If you had full creative control of Doctor Who, how would you relaunch the show in a way that brought back apathetic fans? There is an assumption there, though, isn't there, that they actually want to bring us back. But anyway, let's just go there. So get yourselves thinking, Ryan and Jeremy, but I'm going to show you some of the answers as well. And then Thread, I'll just show you the question for a bit longer. If you had full creative control of Doctor Who, how would you relaunch the show in a way that brought back apathetic fans? There you go. Now, this is what Grok said, and I think this is great. So it says, let's have a look. Let me just get the...
Should we point out what is Grok? Because I'm not 100% sure what Grok is.
Yeah, I'm not amazing. You know me. I live by the...
Is it some AI program?
Yeah.
Oh, right, I see.
Yeah.
It's basically ChatGPT on Twitter. Am I right about that?
Yeah.
I only found out what it was yesterday.
So, according to Grok, I'd relaunch it with a back-to-basics approach that respects the show's roots but injects fresh energy to reel in the apathetic fans who've drifted away. The goal, strip away the convoluted lore, the endless preaching and bloated arcs that have bogged it down, and focus on what made it great. Wonder, adventure, and a Doctor Who feels alien yet relatable. Well, this is interesting. So far, Jeremy and Ryan, I have no problem.
I agree.
So I'll just go on. First, I'd reboot with a new Doctor, someone raw and unpredictable, not another quirky human cosplaying as a Time Lord. I like it. Think a grizzled, weathered figure. Maybe an older actor like Bill Nye or Olivia Colman. Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah, you're rubbish.
No.
The sharp edge and a haunted vibe. They've seen too much, lost too much, and aren't here to hold your hand. No more cutesy catchphrases or pandering. This Doctor's a wild card, driven by curiosity and a restless need to fix what's broken, even if they don't always succeed. Their companion, a single grounded human, a skeptical ex-soldier, oh, that's interesting, or a jaded scientist who doesn't instantly adore the Doctor. Now, where do you stand on this, Jeremy?
Did Ian Levine write that? No, I agree with most of it. But are they going to do something like that? I don't know.
No. Ryan, is this ticking all your boxes?
This is something that goes around in my head daily because I do always dream up my dream scenario. If I was in charge of Doctor Who, what would I do? That point of a lot more rougher, more sort of rough, that's exactly what I would do. But what I've hated in recent years, whenever our new showrunners come in and they're like, oh, this season, this is a perfect jumping on point for new fans. It's not. There's always so much more baggage. I would probably take a very similar stance of what they done whenever they brought it back in 2005, for example. It very much was a clean slate with Eccleston. I would take a similar stance that way. I already know how, if I was running my own season, I already know how I would personally end that first season. But yeah, it's a lot of that I would definitely get on board with because it's exactly what I would do.
Now I'm testing, and I can see the thread are already onto this. Like Farsight says, Grok is smarter than RTD. Could we save the budget and get Grok to write Doctor Who episodes that we actually might like? I mean, I know. I've always been skeptical because I just didn't know much about AI. But actually, if this is AI, so this is interesting. Captain Have Fun. I think it would be nice to see an athletic and strong male, someone who can throw a punch and actually be able to hike a mountain. Pertwee and Tom Baker were the last real men to play the role. I like Capaldi as well. I mean, he just needed better scripts, but that wasn't his fault. Paul Holgate, though, I think it's too far gone even for Grok.
Actually, Grok sounds like a new monster in Doctor Who, doesn't it?
Is that also maybe the other option, though? Do we just start over again completely?
Well, it seems to imply that anyway by saying, you've got to, don't get it convoluted. And as I say, don't mention Gallifrey for quite a few episodes or even a season. Don't mention Daleks or Cybermen either. Don't mention the Master. Don't mention anything like Timeless Children. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove, and just get on with it. Over the Overseer, I would have a mandate of no political bias. I'd promote universal liberal values through the Doctor's heroism, but no denigrating of specific groups. Yes, I think you're right. That's a nice back to basics approach. Let's stop triggering people. Let's get on with it. And actually, I do, like Richard Brown, I like this ex-soldier idea because, you know, if you're going to talk about mental health, you know, RTD, dark times, mental health, he always assumes mental health is talking about 19-year-old teenagers, when actually you could talk about somebody with PTSD.
Yeah.
You could actually do a very interesting take on somebody who might not really want to travel with the Doctor. And every time they get into horrible situations and explosions and that, the Doctor really has to be aware that this person is finding that problematic. Yeah.
I was just going to say, even yet again, though, they could have even done something very interesting with a similar context with the Doctor himself. And they sort of did address that slightly in the 60th anniversary. It was very much just, oh yeah, you've got lots of trauma. It's all sorted out now. It's fine. I'll have a little cry about it. It's fine. Where that could have been a very interesting series where the Doctor actually is very much complete, like his own PTSD of the things that he has seen and the things that he's done.
Yeah, I like that. So I think we're liking this AI at the moment for showrunner. And here's a bit more, everybody. See if we're into this, and we're going to sack RTD a bit like The Apprentice. We're going to say you're fired. So on this one, if I just kind of make it smaller there, the format would ditch the overstuffed season-long arcs. Yes, and just have stories with stakes that actually matter. Yes. A new planet, a new mess, sometimes something cosmic, sometimes small scale, yeah, like android invasion or something, yeah. Think classic Who vibes. A creepy Victorian ghost story one week, a derelict spaceship broadcasting reality TV the next. No more universe-ending threats every 5 minutes. And even AI says those got old fast. Instead, the focus is on tight, clever writing. Oh, you're getting demanding. And moral dilemmas that don't spoon-feed answers. A sprinkle of two-parters could build towards a loose finale, but nothing that demands a PhD in Gallifreyan history to follow. Is there anything you want to challenge or agree with there, lads?
No, what this just sounds like to me? This very much just sounds like a synopsis for a really, really good Big Finish story, because this is what you get with Big Finish.
Yeah.
You just do.
Well, you used to. I mean, I don't know what it is now because I haven't bought a Big Finish for years.
Well, to be fair, I'm currently going through the 9th Doctor's first season. The second box set. Holy shit, some of the best Doctor Who that's ever been written. And it was like very much just very individual stories, but oh my god, it was fantastic.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, because I've not delved too much into that. Peter here said, I mean, everybody's now showrunner. Erase all that nonsense with gender and take out the swaps. Give McGann a proper series with stories that showcase and contrast with the different aspects of his Doctor. And we do know there's a strong contingent of Doctor Who fans who say, get rid of Ncuti when he's left and just get Paul McGann for a season and just get on with it. I take your point over the Overseer. Arcs are great when they're well done. I mean, you had a loose key to time. It's been done before, the Keys of Marinus, and yeah, you can do it. It's just, I think it's been done to death, and it never has a payoff with RTD. I mean, this last season with Empire of Death, and he found a spoon. I mean, you know, our way. And actually, he didn't solve the Sutekh riddle, did he? It was his 19-year-old companion who put Sutekh on a leash. Captain Have Fun really is playing into the Pertwee and the Baker. He really wants them back. Oh, Richard, RTD thinks the Doctor needs to be relatable to horny teenagers. That's the problem. We need the more aloof, alien, eccentric back. I know. Garbage. If you ask BBC AI what does it need, it will say RTD needs more money. Yes, how to race it. Sean Cryer, a Doctor with a darker side, memory loss, a smashed TARDIS, the Doctor on a quest to find himself, but he doesn't find it. I'm more interested in his own problems than anybody else's. Oh, that sounds a bit like the series now, a little bit. I don't like the Doctor to be too compromised by being bothered about himself. I want the Doctor just to kind of carry on a bit. He's resilient, you know, he's been battle worn. I don't want him having counselling with Donna Noble having a salad.
I want the series to be middle ground, not to be too dark or too glitzy in camp and over the top. I mean, they need to have it as a middle ground. So you've got to mix and match of different types of stories that are interesting and stimulating.
Well, here you go. The AI then says, visually, I'd lean into practical effects and eerie atmospheres over glossy CGI. Fans miss the handmade charm. Think rubber monsters and shadowy sets, not green screen overkill. The TARDIS interior gets a rugged steampunk overhaul, less IKEA showroom, more Mad Inventor's Workshop. Murray-Gold's score stays, but dialed back. No more bombast drowning out quiet moments. Any comments there?
I don't like the steampunk idea.
We've already had basically we've already sort of had that with Tennant's TARDIS, like that's sort of like a rundown choral. No, personally, I still think the nicest blend of old and new was definitely Capaldi's TARDIS. That's my personal favourite TARDIS interior.
I see what you mean. Garbage here, 25-minute stories. Sometimes 2-parters, sometimes 7-parters. Are you thinking of any season in particular? I am watching Cobra Kai season 6, 15 episodes, and I bet it's brilliant. I don't know why RTD thinks that Doctor Who cannot do an arc and a series. I mean a proper arc, and I mean cliffhangers. I just don't know why he thinks Doctor Who can't do that. Paul Holgate, would any decent actor want to touch Who now after the mess of Gatwa? We will be back in the days of the press suggesting Paul Daniels or David Hasselhoff. But then after that, Paul, it became good again. I know what you mean. We had to go through that period when it was open to ridicule. And I know, Sean, I probably have, because we normally do agree. If I've misunderstood you, it's because I'm talking too fast and thinking too fast. So I'd take that, because I know we tend to agree. Farsight, the best TARDIS interior was the TV movie one.
Oh, yes, actually. Yes. Yeah. Yes. No, yep, it is. I'll take that. Yep.
That's a little bit kind of steampunk, isn't it, to a certain extent?
Yeah. And get rid of the Eye of Horus, that bit.
Eye of Harmony.
Yeah, I didn't like that bit.
But I love the fact it's just a library and you just sit there and just read a book. I love that so much.
Right, the AI has still got loads of ideas, and here we go. See what you think of this. The tone, darker, funnier, weirder. I can't quite read this where it is here. The Doctor's not as savvy. He can lose people, high stakes, doesn't always win. Yes, he was an anti-hero, really, the Doctor, wasn't he? An anti-hero. His dry wit clashing with absurdity, no slapstick. I ditch the heavy-handed social commentary. Fans want escapism, not lectures. Classic foes like Daleks and Cybermen return, but sparingly, reimagined with real menace. Not as nostalgia bait. New villains, think parasitic ideas or sentient storms, keep things unpredictable. And I'll just mention this and then I'll get your feedback. Promotion-wise, I'd play it mysterious. Minimal trailers. Now, we're all talking about the trailer that's dropped tonight, but I agree. I think you see too much in the end. Cryptic teasers. Let word of mouth build hype. Air it in short, punchy seasons, 6 to 8 episodes on a consistent schedule, no mid-run hiatuses. Apathetic fans want a season to care about again. This relaunch bets on thrilling stories, a Doctor worth rooting for, and a universe that still feels alive. Not a checklist of fan service. It's Doctor Who as a scrappy underdog again, rough around the edges, impossible to ignore. Mm-hmm. I'm not challenging much of this at all.
I think it's been reading my notebook.
It's been reading our minds.
So, AI is the best plagiarist going, isn't it? That's the thing. I mean, it's a kind of collective Borg mind, isn't it?
It's actually interesting there what they say about keep the trailer quite brief. I still think the best trailer for Doctor Who in recent years is whenever it came back in 2005. That first trailer with Chris Eccleston, do you want to come with me? And it doesn't give much away.
No.
I still think that was very much just like, oh, that program's back. That looks cool. But yes, as far as the Daleks, especially, well, hello, I love Daleks. If I was writing the show personally, I would have them win for once. Because that's what I love about Big Finish. Some of the Dalek stories, they are the way that we have them in our heads. These absolutely terrifying war machines. And I would like to sort of see that in the actual show. I actually would like to see them win for once.
Yeah.
Because they are meant to be the ultimate threat. Show them be the ultimate threat.
Yeah, and I think we got, for years, Doctor Who got wrapped up too much in the Time Lord element, and I think it's been done to death, and I think we need to rethink Gallifrey and the Time Lords, and actually therefore park them. They're too destroyed. They've been compromised by the cyber thing. I think let's just park them for ages and let the national public, the public out there who aren't obsessed with Doctor Who but just know of it, think, oh, he's from Gallifrey, isn't he? And that's it. He's a Time Lord, and get it back to basics, and he just travels. And yeah, he's got 2 hearts, and just get back to that. And I have to say, I think they've missed a trick. I know Robert Holmes made them corrupt and in The Deadly Assassin, and then that was used a lot after. But I think we need to get the Time Lords much more interesting again. And while we're thinking about that, leave them alone.
I agree.
So, realistically, the Time Lords haven't... The only time the Time Lords have actually ever been sort of interesting is in the 60s whenever you didn't see them.
Yeah.
So, the more we've seen of them, we're just sort of like, they're a bit fucking boring, aren't they? No wonder the Doctor left.
It's a bit like in the end of the War Games. That moment, I mean, if I was watching the War Games at the time, which I couldn't, but if you were, that must have been so exciting to think, gosh, they're all powerful and they can grab the TARDIS and they can make them go in slow motion.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. The trouble is, then you see them. And then I think it's been downhill from then, really. The Deadly Assassin was a nice blip and aberration in that, but I think overall they're quite tedious.
But yet again, though, are they kind of, because is that not the whole point, though? They are meant to be a bit sort of rule-abiding, very boring, because that's kind of why the Doctor left, because he just was bored of it, more or less.
Well, that's what you think, Ryan, because you're a Doctor Who fan, but of course we now get told it's because he's a refugee.
Refugee. Refugee.
No, this is where headcanon really comes into play.
Yeah.
I know. I can't deal with it because I'm thinking it's a lie. It's a lie. Stop it. John Hewden, the trailer, thank you, which I will look at. The trailer looks like he is copying the multiverse storyverse that's been done to death. A few years ago, I would have hoped this would retcon Jodie, but we know this activist well now, don't we? So the people who have seen it are not making me salivate. David Hardin in Toronto. I agree with Brendan. That's always a good start. Use the Time Lords better than they have been. Maybe spend some time exploring Gallifrey beyond the little we have already have. But I want a writer's room to think about it. Sean Cryer is agreeing with you, Ryan, because he's not happy with me. No, I completely agree on the point about the Daleks winning or not being obviously defeated all the time. I agree with Brendan. Yeah, we're back in the good books. On the Time Lord issue, leave them alone. Yeah, come on. There's a universe to discover, and they're a busted flush, to be quite honest. So yeah, I like AI. I think RTD, you're sacked. So, trouble is, he's not completely sacked, lads, because we do have. Everyone's talking about the trailer, but season 2. Oh my god!
No, but I think season. Well, even the fact is that I think it's going to come and go with a breeze. I don't really think it's going to cause much of a, extravaganza.
It's all right, Ryan. We'll get you. Ryan, sorry about that. Go on. You were saying about season.
The trailer.
As far as season 2 goes, I think it's going to very much come and go, just as wind in the breeze. I don't think it's going to cause much fanfare at all, to be honest.
They're trying. The Eurovision thing. So we've got some news on it. You've seen the trailer, but let's have a look at it and see what you get. And I'll hold on to Ryan as much as I can. I know he's going to have to go in a minute. But the first thing is the Sun. When it said Doctor Who might have been axed, as you know, a week ago, and everyone goes, might be a hiatus, I think is the truth. It then says the Doctor Who Christmas special is set to be scrapped. No, that's trying to trigger us. It was never set. It's not part of the 26 episode deal.
That's right.
That was just trying to bait us, wasn't it? So, and hallelujah, I hate Doctor Who Christmas specials because they're all snow dust. They're all nonsense. No. So actually, hallelujah. Thank God for that. No, we've seen, whether you've seen trailers, but it's 12th of April, 8 a.m. on BBC iPlayer on Saturday morning. They're not doing midnight anymore. They've listened to the fans. And you get two, you could say they're striking pictures, or you could say they're quite nondescript. I will say AI Grok said, don't give much away. Well, they don't give much away at all either, do they? No. So maybe that's okay. I can't be too picky.
I will say, though, the logo was very Happiness Patrol.
It's very pink.
Very pink.
It's been painted by the Happiness Patrol. I agree with you. You
know what you're in for.
Yes, it's a very gay Doctor. What about? Oh, it's very. I mean, at least that's a bit darker. But yeah, we've got a lot of pinks and blues, which goes with a certain flag. Yes. Now we heard that Alan Cumming is going to be in it again. It's like the 70s when we had people. Now, obviously, with your background as well, Ryan, I was fascinated. What do you think of this Mr. Ring-a-Ding idea?
He's overwhelmed. He's speechless.
I don't know. I kind of like the idea of a cartoon character on a screen coming to life and causing it. I'm going to have to say it. It depends what way it's played. Depends what they're actually going to do with it. But, I do quite like Alan Cumming. I am invincible. I love him as Boris from GoldenEye, and from Spy. Yeah, he isn't. He's Mr. Flippin' Spy Kids.
So he's back, whether we like it and the concept. But it's when I heard this that I started to go, okay, this is Doctor Who in 2025. He'll be returning to Doctor Who as a guest star, voicing Mr. Ring-a-Ding, a happy, funny, sing-along cartoon who lives in Sunnytown with Sunshine Sally. I tell you what, she sounds as though she gives him a good time. Sunshine Sally, to me, it sounds like there's something shifty going on, Sunshine Sally. I mean, he's a fiver. I mean, honestly, it just sounds sleazy to me.
She's a little sunbeam.
Yeah, it also makes me think of Wurzel Gummidge. Was it Una Stubbs' character? Who was she in that?
Aunt Sally.
Aunt Sally.
Aunt Sally.
So I don't know. This sounds like Doctor Who for space babies. Mr. Ring-a-Ding, a cartoon character from Sunnytown with Sunshine Sally. Yeah, okay. Now, he's suddenly the cartoon character, so we're going very meta here, which I know gets the normal British public going, Doctor Who's stupid. Suddenly looks beyond the screen. And I hated Who Framed Roger Rabbit, so this is not getting me at all. And sees the real world outside. Oh, it's a cartoon character who wants to be 3D. And the consequences are terrifying. Now, I will grant you, Ryan, I loved the bit in the giggle when that man was turned into a wooden puppet for a second.
Yeah.
That worked. Trouble is, he was then reset back to being a human again. So it can be terrifying if you're trapped as a cartoon character. But didn't one of the Capaldi episodes do that? When they all went flat. The flat line, they're all like in the walls. And that wasn't a very good episode, though. But to be fair, I don't imagine this would be good, but it could have been good if it would have been written differently. I do love the fact that this cartoon character coming out of the screen, realizing the real world, and he goes mad and starts on a killing spree. That would be fun. Yeah, we need death. We definitely need death. But can we have death and you can't revive people like Lazarus? That once somebody's been turned into a cartoon character, they're dead. That's
this is the other thing as well, which is a problem with recent Doctor Who as well, is we need to bring consequences back into the show again. There is that, there was no consequences at all in the last season. Like, you would have thought Sutek coming back, he's covered the whole world in sand and, all that carry on. It's a Russell T Davies problem. Oh, I'm just going to fix everything in the last 5 minutes and tie it up in a nice little neat bow. It's I really hate it whenever he does that with finales and things. I want consequences back, and like, I want something to happen in a season and actually is brought up again maybe 2 seasons later. But that thing actually did happen. I'll acknowledge that.
But you see, we could just have a robot of death on the loose in a sand miner for a lot less money, because for a fact, Jeremy, to do this animation and mix the animation with, real film is going to cost a fortune. So he better be terrifying, but you didn't need to do that. This is kind of when you get a big budget, you go, do you know what? Who's never been able to afford this? So let's do a cartoon character that gets excited, when actually you could just have a robot on the loose.
This sounds more like science fantasy rather than science fiction. And I don't know whether the audience is going to swallow it,
I have a concern. It might be well done. And Ryan, I know, because behind the scenes you're really skilled and good at all this sort of stuff. But honestly, what depresses me is I know they can probably make it look good, but is it worth trying? Because you could, in a 45-minute episode, just have something else that's very dark, very sinister, very menacing, get the people talking about it, and you've saved a lot of money to make another episode. Because while we do talk about budgets and wasting money, because they're wasting money on things that I don't think scare people or thrill people, you could have maybe squeezed another 2 or 3 episodes out.
Exactly. Unfortunately, as I was saying earlier on, they went into making season 1 and season 2 back to back. So any issues maybe they have made in season 1 is going to follow into season 2 as well, including where they went, maybe we did go too hard on the whole fantasy aspect in season 1. Should we try and fix that in season 2? Oh, no, we can't. It's already made,
Yeah.
That's the issue,
That is the problem. So it's like we're talking about stuff here that was maybe already finished more or less over a year ago, if not more.
And it does make me wonder, because Lee Smith, I mean, some people know a lot more about movies and TV than me. I'm a Doctor Who geek. Lee Smith, the Twilight Zone film had a cool cartoon monster. So it's been done. It's been done. Hasler Scott, Mr. Ring-a-Ding is done in, it's done in classic Disney. Rtd'S out of ideas. He's written too much. I'll try and be fair to him. He's just written too much and too fast. And therefore, we're now just repeating things. Roger Rabbit has a cool cartoon monster. It never appealed to me, though, lads, that whole Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I can't stand seeing a real actor try and act against... It's a bit Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Yeah.
It didn't interest me.
Yeah. I think Bedknobs and Broomsticks was okay, a little bit too long, but I understand the point, like Mary Poppins as well.
Yeah. Then, of course, we have Belinda Chandra, the character. Now, her synopsis. So, is this anything like Ruby Sunday? Is this anything like Rose? Is this anything like Billy Piper's? Is this anything like Martha Jones? Can RTD do a brand new character like an ex-soldier? The Doctor meets Belinda Chandra and begins an epic quest to get her back to Earth. It's Tegan! Heathrow! But a mysterious force is stopping their return, and the time-travelling TARDIS team must face great dangers, bigger enemies, and wider terrors than ever before. The wider terrors, that's going to be the Ring-a-Ding. So basically, she's Tegan. Yeah?
Well...
Yeah. Is that Heathrow, Doctor? Well, and then she kicks off. So she'll be just saying every episode, she's going to bore us rigid. She'll say, oh, you haven't got me back to where I want to be. Thanks. And then he goes, oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm sorry. You've upset me. That does not appeal at all. It's better than having this adopted, fostered nonsense with Ruby Sunday. But it's about her again. Why does Doctor Who in this iteration have to be about the companion?
I don't know. That's the answer to that one.
It doesn't. It doesn't interest me to see another human being just go on a ride. When it was Sarah Jane Smith and Leela and Joe Grant, it was just fun to see them get into a pickle that the Doctor normally got them out of. I don't want to see that Sarah Jane Smith had a problem with her career. I don't want to see that Joe Grant lived in Peru. I just want to see the Doctor saving them. I want the perils of Pauline. That's what I want.
Yeah. But whether that will be in the season 2 or not, I don't know. There might be an element of it, but we'll have to see.
You start making, the show about the title character, but
Yeah, it's not Doctor Who, is it? It's kind of the man with somebody with him. It
would be nice to see the Doctor travelling on his own, as in Deadly Assassin.
Well, Jeremy, as part of my relaunch, I would actually suggest for the first episode or 2 that the Doctor's on their own. Yeah.
Yeah, just to sort of travel alone, meet a few friends along the way, and if the characters are very good, meet up with them later on for a few stories, etc., etc.
Now, earlier on in our stream, we talked about the LGBT thing and the Doctor Who Monthly, and of course, there's a character who is in season 2. I don't know if you saw this.
Yeah,
basically, Christopher Chung joins Doctor Who. Okay, well, I don't know much about him. I haven't watched. Is it Slow Horses? I haven't seen it. Now, in the Instagram from RTD, he says, "Nuke the place from orbit. So happy to get Chris on board. He's playing a tough trooper who finds himself. Oh, well, you'll find out. But this one's brutal. Look, good luck, Trooper 1. New Doctor Who coming soon." Who finds himself, Ryan?
Does he find out how to use a gun? And, I wonder if Russell fancied this one as well. That's why he got him into the show. He has a bit of a tendency for that, doesn't he?
There is a tendency. I showed a few weeks ago in the Writer's Tale, the page when he says Russell Tovey, he fancies the socks off, and he wanted to be there for the filming, which is fine. We can all fancy people, but when you're the boss, I think you have to be careful what you say.
Yeah.
In this world where everybody's pointing at each other, we know the media people who've been cancelled. I find it fascinating that some people are just able to say, I give that person the job and I fancied the socks off them. And John Barrowman, I need you naked in this scene because it's very funny. And then a few years later, we don't want you back because that's too sleazy. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. So yes, I don't know much about this actor. Do you, Jeremy?
I've never heard of him before. I couldn't even tell you
good.
what he's been in.
So Doctor Who's doing well then. We're getting all the top people there.
But I don't really watch that much terrestrial television, so, it could be very...
Yeah, so I haven't a clue who it is. I don't really watch normal TV. I just watch Doctor Who and movies.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, he probably might be a very good actor, but I don't know because I haven't seen him in it. Yeah.
We do
seem wait and see.
Yep. We certainly are ticking boxes. Now on this one, just to say, on season 2, we've got this range of writers, and of course we've got a writer here who actually decides the Doctor's a refugee, the Doctor and then this is the thing, is Doctor Who going to survive? Is Doctor Who got any promise at all? And you just think everything I'm listing has a trigger point. So yes, him thinking the Doctor's a refugee, which means he's discarded the first 30 odd years of Doctor Who. You've got an actor here who's playing a character who finds himself. Now, there's only so many ways you can find yourself, and we all know where this might land. Mr. Ring-a-Ding to me is Who Framed Roger Rabbit. We have the Eurovision Song Contest, and I just start to think this is actually all froth, It's all kind of shouty Doctor Who, but it's actually got no real substance or line.
None of it really sounds very Doctor Who-ish, does it?
No.
Yeah.
And so
the most Doctor Who thing I've heard this evening was the bloody AI thing. So there we go.
yeah, AI is the future. Now I saw this article, and like I say, has Doctor Who lost the plot? And this is Emma Revel, and she wrote this. Speculation is mounting that the BBC might be about to call time on Doctor Who. Right, okay, yeah, we know that. Jodie Whittaker and Ncuti Gatwa are talented actors, but the BBC was lucky to land them. The problem is less woke storylines and the clunky way these concepts play out. Now, she says several things, and I just wanted to see what you thought. Ever since Doctor Who was revived by RTD, a man who at the time was most famous for queer as folk, concerned citizens of the online variety have been clutching their pearls, worried about what stories the show will be presenting to primetime viewers. However, it was under subsequent showrunners that the accusations such as wokery and brainwashing ramped up. There have been countless column inches, bemoaning pregnant men, characters being told off for assuming other characters' pronouns, transgender and non-binary characters, the casting of an actor who's also a drag queen, the Doctor having a crush on Isaac Newton. The list goes on. Yeah. Lost the plot. I agree.
No comment.
I know. What is more objectionable is the seemingly clunky way these concepts and storylines play out. Sci-fi has always been a genre where storylines which could be deemed woke have been able to exist. It is about aliens, other planets, and traveling across time and space. If alien species all looked, sounded, and acted just like us, that wouldn't be very imaginative. The idea that aliens might breed in a different way to humans shouldn't be controversial, but if it feels like the concept has been shoehorned into a story to prove a point rather than arising organically, then what you actually object to is a poor story writing. And the second reason I'm not obsessed by the Doctor's latest antics, and she explains she's 33 and childless, and she thinks it's a children's show, right? It's interesting. We're all fans. We've all got hinterlands that we come to. And I find it very funny, everybody goes on about the storylines aren't integrated well with the message. It's just too obvious what's going on. Is there anything that you want to add at this point before I just kind of give a bit more?
Yeah, it's a very good article.
I'll just show this. I'm sorry if that offends anyone. This is her being childless and saying it's a children's program. No, I don't think so. I know that the longevity of the show is in part due to legions of fans whose love for the big blue box has spanned generations. But it is at its heart a show about aliens and time travel designed for teens and pre-teens. I think that's when we all joined it. I was an avid watcher of the revival and stuck with it as David Tennant took over. I even retained a residual interest in the Matt Smith and Capaldi years. But eventually, you do have to admit that as an adult, there are better things to watch on a Saturday evening. Now, the thing I will say, Jeremy and Ryan, is I've never really had that kind of dislocation, separation point with Doctor Who. Yes, I have looked at Sylvester McCoy years as an adult, so I never felt the same as when it was Davison, Baker and Pertwee, but I think that's just everybody says who's your favorite Doctor, and it tends to be the first one you came across.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. Ryan, do you feel as though you've dislocated from Doctor Who because you're an adult, or do you feel as though no, I've always been with it? It's just
I would say Doctor Who is just as much part of my life now as what it was whenever I was 11, in a very different way. Fair enough, am I connected to anything in the last... Basically, as far as I'm concerned, I stopped loving the show on TV as soon as Capaldi stopped. The show ends for me with Capaldi.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, I get to listen to amazing Big Finish stuff every single day while I'm at work. It's amazing. That's how I'm getting my Doctor Who fix, because the TV stuff just isn't doing it for me anymore. And I've said to you before, it doesn't, like, this era isn't for me. That's fine. I've got 55 years of other content that I can go back, enjoy, love. Like, as we were talking about season 7 earlier on, if that comes tomorrow, I'll be sitting down tomorrow evening and watching Inferno. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't think I could never just go, okay, no, that's me, done. Because Doctor Who's going to be with me until the day I, croak it. It's just as much part of my personality as anything else. Like, it very much is part of me, part of my soul, as cheesy as that sounds. But there's the stuff that I very much love, and the section that we currently have now, which isn't for me, but that's not going to stop me loving the stuff that I did love. Mm-hmm. Sorry, that was a very long-winded answer to that.
Jeremy,
that's exactly how I feel, actually.
I mean, Jeremy, when as you grow older, as you're watching Doctor Who, when did you start to think? There's a point when you absolutely just adore the program, and there's a point when you're an adult and you have a more critical view, but you're still watching it.
I suppose me being critical goes back to 1979, when you're thinking it looks a little bit cheaper. you know.
Yeah.
And then the following year, it was, they've started to spend a bit more money on it. But I suppose me sort of getting disenfranchised was probably when Jodie Whittaker took over. I think that was like a lead weight just dropping on me from a great height. And I thought, this is a wrong move.
Yeah.
And certainly when it got to The Timeless Child, I thought, this show's finished.
Yeah.
It's practically over now. They've really damaged the show by saying the first Doctor was never the first Doctor.
Would you... Go on, sorry, Jeremy.
And of course it makes a mockery of all the DVDs that have been released in terms of the first Doctor being the first Doctor, but they just said no, the first Doctor wasn't the first Doctor. So it just doesn't sit well. And if they sat down and thought about it in terms of the range of the merchandise, the long-termism of the show, then they might have come up with a different answer in terms of, you know, the War Doctor and the I can't think of the actress's name now.
Joe Martin.
Joe Martin, yeah, etc., etc. And I think it has fundamentally damaged the show.
Well, what about this? This still gives us the love. I mean, forget that. I can do a different stream on that. The BFI, the Savages animation, Ryan. I mean, that does this appeal? Do you get the old animations? Do you buy them? Do you watch them?
I'll be really, really honest. The animations don't really do it for me personally, unless it's the Dalek ones. I'll be really honest. I'm sort of like, because I'm not gonna lie, 60s Doctor Who is not my era. Like 70s Doctor Who is my era. That's the era I'm avid. But the 70s and 80s, 70s mainly, 80s would be my second sort of most popular era. That's what I don't like. Don't get me wrong. Like the 60s has some amazing stuff in it and amazing lore and whatnot. And you know, we wouldn't have the show that we had if it wasn't for everything that came in the 60s. But it's not my personal era. You know what I mean? It would be the one that I probably watched the least.
Yeah. What about you, Jeremy, on the animations of classic Doctor Who?
Well, I have to say I don't like the animations. The quality is not consistent, and you know they've got different companies making these animations, and obviously they're bringing in modern day references that weren't there, and leaving some references that are out.
Yeah,
you know, and sometimes the animation just I can't get the feeling of the soundtrack to mar up with the animation. It just seems odd.
So a lot of the animation, I find it very jarring.
Yeah, so what I would do is I'd probably go for the telesnaps and listen to the soundtrack. But I mean, obviously, this is a different way of presenting a program that they haven't got in terms of the visuals, other than the telesnaps.
Well, what's interesting is that they always do one at a time, and in an interview, the executive producer of this has said they're going to try and do a deal with the BBC when they're working on a few at the same time in the future, if they can. So we're not having to wait around. So basically, if the BBC agrees to it, we might actually see a few of them come a bit thicker and faster.
I mean, my view on animation is, if you're going to do animation, do it well. Do it even better than that, and make it 100% accurate with the telesnaps and the information that you've got.
So it might set an alarm bell to say they might be making more quickly. I don't know. You know, I go back to the invasion, and I loved the invasion one.
Yeah, but I'm not mad on the animation, because to me it doesn't sit well with the audio material.
Yeah,
I think, as you're saying as well, though, the consistency as a prop, some of them look really, really good, and it was like, oh, I can enjoy this. But some of the other, like, I would say there was more bad animation ones than good ones.
Yeah,
to be honest. And some of them are incredibly jarring, but they're going to have to make them, though, because they want to keep bringing out the Blu-ray box sets, and if they're going to complete the collection, they're going to need to make the animated.
I was just going to say that Simon mentioned the Ian Laverne recreations.
Yes,
and I thought that was quite good. That's worth checking out.
There's some interesting one. The Wheel in Space one, which was done by a married couple, wasn't it? That looked really good. But so Sean Cryer here, I don't agree with you guys. They are not great, but I'd rather have a moving representation than not. I buy them all because, and I know what you're saying, Jeremy, about telly snaps and maybe doing it a different way, and we've got the soundtracks and that. But I have to say, I'm a glutton because I just, as you said, Ryan, I want the complete set.
Yeah.
And rather than having a hole there, I feel better having something that moves a little bit. I know the quality can vary, but even Galaxy 4 and watching them, the walk across I don't know, it's like a desert, isn't it? But they're just walking across and you think, okay, and I'm listening to the soundtrack. And the truth is, Jeremy, I've got all the soundtracks like you do, and I know that Ryan has, but I don't listen to them anymore. So the animation helps me bridge that gap.
Yeah, if I got the telly snaps or the pictures, then I can listen to the animation while looking at the pictures, so that helps a little bit. But we certainly do need better animations and recreations than the ones that are on display. I think this is just what I would call a cheap fill. I don't mean that in a nasty sense. It's a cheap fill until something else better comes along, and then they'll redo the Blu-ray again with better animations probably.
See, I would like some of them. I really enjoy, like Evil of the Daleks. I really, really, really enjoy. I think the animation's quite good. The Daleks look bloody fantastic. I think it's a good representation of the original story.
Yeah.
And the same would go for Invasion for the episodes that they lost for it. It's quite good as well. It's very bloody eerie.
Well, with the Daleks, it's different because they're almost kind of like robots, which they're not. But when you've got an actor, a human being like, say, I don't know, William Hartnell, the certain gestures that he does and the certain inflections in the voice, the animation doesn't always pick that up.
Yeah, so you are moving like stick men. That's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, so you see what you're seeing is a different interpretation rather than the actual original visuals from the 1960s.
I mean, I would agree with you, Brendan. Though I would rather have something there than nothing.
Yeah.
Rather than nothing, I'm getting Doctor Who done back like Captain Pugwash, but at least I'm getting something. I mean,
but what I don't like is they rush it out, they release it, and think maybe could have done a better job with the animation. Let's redo it again, and then they resell the package again.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just trying to coin in a bit more money from the fans,
I mean, over the overseas,
they've redone Power of the Daleks, didn't they?
Yeah.
Over the Overseer, I enjoyed the retcon of the Savages. The art style of the new animation looks ugly. It reminds me of Galaxy 4. They do actually look similar, and the colours are similar. Peter, they should probably have done it Hanna-Barbera style or a retro 80s realist. You see, I like can you remember the Star Trek? And the Planet of the Apes animation, because they were both big shows in the 70s, weren't there? And I loved the animations of this, especially Star Trek. It had the voices of all the actors, didn't it? The music was quite good. Actually, there was lots of Jeopardy in the Star Trek animated series, I thought.
Well, supposing you had one company that did all the animations, they would save money by using the same cells. Of the actor's movement, etc., etc. You just got to change the costume a little bit, like they did in Spider-Man in 1967, 68.
Yeah,
when the third series they had to make it a lot cheaper, so they just reused a lot of the same scenes that they'd already had, and stories as well.
Well, I do have to contact Daryl Joyce because I saw Daryl Joyce on Twitter today with his Earthshock animation illustration. Daryl Joyce should be employed to animate these missing stories. His animations they're so complex, though. This is the thing, but they're lovely. And he is doing a book now of all the Doctor Who cliffhangers. Ooh, all illustrated. It'd be beautiful. Captain Pugwash wasn't animation, Brendan, says Lee Smith. It was puppetry with cardboard. I apologize. Yes, sorry about that. I'm not an expert, but you know what I mean. Hasler Scott, I know it's a different beast, but Star Trek, the animated series, had some excellent stories with dodgy early 1970s HB style cheap animation. And it was fine. Well, for me, it was anyway. Sean Cry just says the wheel in space was brilliant and the dopey BBC turned it down. Yeah, I know they get very proprietorial. Look, we could go on, lads, but we've overrun, I suppose. But I've really enjoyed that chat. I'm depressed as hell. It's just not boding well, is it? I keep trying to be an optimistic, but when I see the Eurovision, when I see Chris Chung, when I see what Belinda Chandra is going to dominate the series, I just think, what?
Let's just see what happens. I think the next few months is going to... Well, look on the bright side. I think you're going to have plenty of content over the next couple of months.
Yeah.
You think? I know. And Ryan has heard that I'm trying to set up a daily short show. I mean, what I mean is with a puppet. And we've got the wall has just been arranged now. We've got the set. We're getting ready so that I can actually do that a lot more. And yes, Ryan, plenty of content going. What was that about? What is going on? Yeah. Anyway, lads, I've really enjoyed that. Thank you to the thread. You have joined us, 18th Century Scam. Hello. Can you please like and subscribe? Definitely both of them. But thanks, lads. And we'll
thank you. A big bye. Goodbye from K9. Bye.
Bye.
Ta-ta.